Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, and so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show. Booyah!
And now I can say officially,
Woo!
it is Thursday.
Sure is.
I messed that up yesterday.
I
I was
know.
trying to push the week ahead.
Yeah.
Despite the fact it was just my second work day of the week. I was ready for the weekend more than ever. Happy Thursday, everybody. Welcome to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. Jay Crawford with you. Full panel today. We're going to later in the show talk about Jose Ramirez in the home run derby. Does that move your needle? Is that a big deal? We'll talk about it. G. Bush?
Listen, man, today, man, this was yesterday. Well, we'll get to it probably tomorrow, but congratulations to the Cincinnati Bengals, man. You guys are just trotting out new uniforms. You got alternates now. What you trying to be somebody in life? You got some self-esteem. Hey, Browns fans, please, come on now. Let's get it together. We need these white helmets and a few alternates, man. Stop being so traditional, please.
I'm Jason Lloyd. Congratulations to me and my 5th grade, 6th grade Little League team. We were the youngest team in the league playing in the championship game tomorrow night.
Congratulations.
Hey.
Kind of like the Guardians. Youngest team in the league.
Bottom seed.
Worked your way to the finals.
Well, it was only 2 games.
Is there a pay like technically that would mean you were the coach / owner?
Yes.
GM, coach.
Nice.
Coach.
Somebody needs to ask about. He has to show the tax returns. I mean, he's buying the squad. He's for the athletic. Dad's is out here. Yeah. Dad's is talking about, hey man, you want to hang out? Tell me about LeBron. I give you. Let my son play with you.
He's bringing in kids from Guatemala.
Yeah.
That's what I heard. I'm Mike Polk, and it's about to get real awkward because we're going to find out how Adam's Little League team did recently, and I'm sitting in between these two managers. So wish me luck, everyone.
My God. I don't know who this Adam is. I'm pop singer Christina Aguilera. And let me tell you something. My genie in a bottle has a wish for Nick Chubb and the Cleveland Browns. We'll get to that in a little bit.
I can't wait to hear
Right,
about
can't
that.
wait to rub on that.
It's probably the only time you'll be confused with Christina Aguilera. Hey, Mikey McNuggets behind the glass.
Hey, we got a big day today because Tag Board is here.
I've heard so much
It is
about
here,
this.
guys.
We still don't know what it is.
No, here's the funny thing. Mike and Anthony have been like to the moon about this tag board for weeks.
Right.
No, even most of us have no clue what it is.
G. Bush knows.
G. Bush knows. He and like four nerds in their house. Nobody. I mean, it's cool, and they
Can we
showed
see
me
it right now?
But nobody
No, but
listening at home
here's
knows
the
what
game
it is.
today. I want you guys to find us where the Tag Board is new today. You'll see it. It's going to happen a couple times in the show. I want you guys to try and find where the Tag
really
Board
cool.
comes. I also want to remind everybody to subscribe to our YouTube page. We're at 9,600 subscribers. We got to get to 11,000 by the end of the month.
Let's go.
Or what?
Yeah, what happened?
TBD, but we will find out what the or else is by next
Because yesterday
Monday.
you said you're in trouble if we don't get to
we're
11,000
going to find
subs.
something.
We got to give it a sense of urgency, for sure. Something's got to be on the
But you
line.
can't make it too good because then nobody will subscribe.
Right.
Oh my
They want
God.
to see Anthony
Punishment.
take a bowl of chili so badly
Yes.
they won't subscribe.
Right. This is almost like a bad idea.
This is a
we'll-
bad
we'll-
idea.
Well, listen, we'll get to it. We promise. Also, enter the Guardians ticket contest, wcy.com/contest. And before we get into today's content, can we talk about for 1 minute how cool it was that we had Archie Griffin and Leroy Horde on at once yesterday?
Yeah.
I did all the research. That's the first time in the history of media those two have been on the same show at the same time.
You didn't need to do research for that.
Yeah.
Well, I did.
I mean, I
and
could've
it
told
took
you.
me 2 seconds, but I get all the emails, the tweets, and everything that comes. People love that, and I don't know how we
They
get
did?
to do it
Yeah,
again.
it's cool.
Good.
But let's do it again.
They reached. I don't know if they got more than DeQuell. I think DeQuell was the all-time view getter as a host, but they got about 10,000 yesterday. So shout out to both
So
of
why
those
don't we
guys.
do this? Why don't we already plan for the week of Michigan-Ohio State? For each show that week, we do a segment with a Buckeye and a Wolverine on together.
Great idea.
All week long.
Quite clever.
I think that would be fun.
I'm in.
Maybe
Okay.
you'll turn to blows in some of these cases.
Yeah.
And
well,
that's
let's
just
hope
clicks,
they're not in
clicks,
studio
clicks.
together.
Yeah.
It's like a production meeting on the air.
That's what we do, Jay. That's exactly
You
what we
use
do.
the time you have.
Sometimes we change the show rundown in front of the whole audience.
We've done that multiple times.
You know what it's called? It's called pulling back the curtain. You know, you be careful. You don't want to see how the sausage is made.
Yeah, right.
We show it right here.
Yes.
You're going to see our sausage whether you like it or not, folks.
Maybe later in the show I'll read the 15-minute email I sent yesterday.
No, you know
But
what?
not to me. He didn't send it to me. I'm on the show today. He didn't send it to
You
me.
did not get it.
I left you out. Sorry, Jason. I didn't mean to.
Yeah.
It was an open letter.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
it was.
Mike Polk was the only one that didn't respond. I'm a little offended by that.
It was very emotional. I haven't
Don't
had.
respond on the air today.
Yeah,
I'm
no,
not offended. In
no, I know you're not. I know you're not. I will respond here. But yeah, you sent a very nice email, and it was great.
On the show notes, top of the show list,
Yeah.
G. Bush opens show on moving the goalposts daily in the Deshaun Watson case.
Sounds like he's got something.
What in the hell do you have for
It
us?
looks like I have no clue what you're talking about.
I don't either, but we're all going to find out together.
I'm guessing. I did a couple of YouTube videos. They were pretty cool, I guess. See, that's the great thing about YouTube. You never know when you're going to hit on something, right?
Right.
And it just blows it up. But I will say, man, if we played back, I would have a montage of for about a month ago, right? And you take a look at the montage and you're like, indefinite suspension, 2-year suspension. Oh my God, he's Bauer. Here's the New York Times bombshell, 66. Then you started to hear little things like, well, we're going to settle. So 20 out of 24 were already settled. Then they said, oh, well, hold on now. Really, we're going to only present 12 of them. And then Jay talked about it yesterday. Well, it's only 5 really that they talked about that had any sort of, allegations of touching or whatever the case may be. And then they get rid of one of those now. And then the briefs come out, right? And then the NFL leaks some stuff. They're looking kind of uncomfortable. And then all of a sudden, now we're to a point where it's funny. People just stop even leading with it. Like usually it was like, how many games is he getting? Call us up right now. Now it's like, let's talk Baker. Because we don't know if this is really going to be an indefinite thing or a game thing or a 16-game thing. Right now,
Are you talking about locally, G? You're obviously listening to a lot more local sports talk than I am.
No. I'm talking nationally.
Oh, nationally.
Yeah. Florio's the Pied Piper.
Well, here's the funny part of this is that Florio is a guy that's got to be a year. It's going to be more than a year. And obviously he's been softening on that. Mm-hmm. What's going to happen is if it ends up in the end, like we all think it's going the opposite direction, right? The wind seems to be blowing the other way. If it ends up being a year or more, guys like Florio and those guys who were on the soapbox for that are going to be like, I told you so.
Flip that up.
They're going to be right back on that.
Well, when you hedge your bets in every possible way,
of course,
you could find a show where every one of us said it's going to be exactly what it's going to end up being.
In fact, you know what we should do after this? Right after this, we should have our Twitter account tweet out, Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show guarantees it will be 1 game, and then 2 games, and then 3 games.
Right.
And then when we find out, we delete all the other ones.
Right.
We retweet that one, and we say,
screen
nailed
grabs,
it.
though. The screen grabs will get us.
Yeah, but maybe people won't think to do that.
So, G. Bush, your thesis here is it's trending downward. Why do you think the goalposts are moving so much?
Well, I think one of the things that happened is people realized there wasn't as much evidence as we thought it was. See, there's a thing that happens in your human mind when you just say sexual assault. That's an open-ended question. There's multiple degrees of sexual assault. It could be rape. It could be a lot of different things. It could be indecent touching. But as the case went on, and as Busby started to leak this information, one of the things that started to happen was he said, "I already got my people out of here. I got my 20 settlements. So it's not my job to prove the NFL's case." He was never worried about that. And then the NFL had to present their case. And as people, insiders started to look, they started to go and check people's stories, and you got stories coming out, and it just looks crazy. Like the story about the guy, the kid who his mom was like, "Hey, I thought Deshaun Watson was a great guy," and then all of a sudden, allegations came out.
Right.
Now that type of stuff is damaging, and I think sometimes we don't want to highlight those things. But I always tell people, if I have to highlight the fact that it just didn't look good after the HBO special, because they had 2 very credible witnesses, or at least one, I thought that we all agreed that looked really credible.
First one especially.
Right?
Yeah.
First one especially. Then you have to present them information about that information coming out that someone's own son, who should be in your corner,
we need
says,
all the
what?
information out there. If the media, we're part of the media.
Right.
If there are powers that be in different media entities that are trying to stop some of the information from coming out, that's inappropriate. We need to hear all what we hope are facts. And because we're hearing certainly plenty of speculation and innuendo and guesses from people out there that sometimes turn into people treating them as facts, which is unfair.
We're hearing leaks.
Yes, a lot.
And
right.
We talked about the leak from the on the NFL side. They told the Associated Press that the league did not. This was from the NFLPA, that the league did not have any evidence that shows that there was force, coercion, violence.
Right.
That was from their perspective.
Sure.
So obviously, a defense attorney might look at a prosecutor's case completely different than a jury might. You know,
Right.
the defense might say, that's all you got? That's weak. But the jury, or in this case, Sue Robinson, might look at that and say, well, that was plenty.
True.
So
right.
it was from the NFLPA's perspective that the nugget leak, that they didn't present any. They said that factually. Jason, that can't be presented factually, can it? They presented no evidence that showed force, coercion, violence. I mean, in their view, it didn't show it.
Well,
but,
legally, force and coercion are two completely different things.
They are.
And that was one of the things that I got into it with Tony Busby about.
I remember.
On the radio he said we are going to be very specific. Now, he was talking about court cases and civil cases, not this. Not what we're talking about with Judge Robinson. And so I don't want to speak for him or try and read into, but he was saying, there was a difference in force and coercion, and they were arguing coercion and not force. Never once was Busby and the women arguing force. It was always coercion.
And
that's a big difference.
And I'll give you even in the beginning, the depositions where the Houston Police Department, the person who brought the case forward, she argued she argued that if a person is larger in stature physically, Deshaun Watson is about 6'2". If he's larger in stature, that could be intimidating, right? If he has power, that's also intimidating. If he's rich, that means he has influence. So as you take all these things into retrospect, you start to say, okay, well, what is coercion and what is force? And she stepped to, she outreached herself a little bit and said that if you have all four of those things present, somebody is rich, famous, has money, and influence, that a woman cannot technically give consent.
I don't know if that's true or not. It doesn't seem like that would be true.
That's not.
I don't know. Now,
it's
if someone's your
semantics,
boss, that's a different story.
That is correct.
The reason that's not true, guys,
Yeah.
there have been women who have consented to sex.
Of course.
Yeah.
With men who are bigger than them, richer than them, and famous.
Right.
So that's not
It
a
can't
true
be true.
statement.
Right, because wouldn't then any woman that chooses to have sex with Deshaun Watson
Be able to
wouldn't be able
accuse
to
him
have
of rape.
consent?
If
Well, they're
that- if
definitely,
that
yeah.
they're
were
definitely
true.
not in an employer-employee kind of situation,
No.
which is in most cases. Like with a masseuse, that's really what it is. You are hiring someone, so automatically, if you're the person paying someone, then you're in the position of power, right?
Absolutely.
But in the end, I think this is important because we're all kind of talking about one side of this to some degree. In the end, Judge Robinson only has to think that one person is extremely credible and he committed a violation of the NFL's policy.
Not even extremely credible, more credible and believable than Deshaun.
Right.
It's literally
and that could be enough for
50.1%.
at least some level of suspension.
Right.
We
Go ahead,
we
Boyd.
all think it's leading one way. It might not be. For all we know, Judge Robinson is going to
Yeah, but
suspend him
I
for a
think
year.
everybody here is willing to say there is going to be a suspension of some kind. Am
That's
I right?
why.
Yes,
That's why.
most likely.
I'm sorry to say this. I have to argue with just the root of your point because I don't think anything's changed. I mean, I know we've talked a lot, we've learned more things, but at the beginning of this, even when the Bauer thing came down, nobody was saying like, well, he's definitely gonna get 2 years now. We were saying that could affect the ruling, but we weren't like, well, that he set the precedent. Now he's not gonna play for 2 years. Since the beginning, we've all been saying, so at the very beginning of this, almost everyone here is like, 6 to 8 games probably, 6 to 8 games, 6 to 8 games.
Yeah.
Where are you all at now? I'm still
Same place.
6 to 8
I
games.
don't think we've
And
changed.
none of us know.
No, you're
so
right.
that even if the narrative did change in any way, we've just been spinning plates because this whole time we are still at 6 to 8
You know,
games
it's
as
like
far
the
as we
win
know.
probability stat. When you watch a game, there's the ESPN will put out the win probability.
Yes.
And if you're up 8 in the bottom of the ninth with 2 outs, the win probability is 99.9%, right?
Yes.
So I think what we've done throughout this 15, 16 months of this story is we've changed our, not win probability, suspension probability. Just like the ebbs and flows of a game, something happens, you're like, oh, there we go, they're going to win. Oh, no. And I think it's gone like this.
Yeah.
But I do think it's generally stayed within the range
Yes.
of 6 to 8 games with a few peaks of a year or two or none.
I think in
but
this
it's generally
group, I
been 6 to
agree.
8.
I do think, to G's point, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think he's making the point that there are some members of the national media that were not really looking at both sides, that were out for blood from the beginning, that were like, this guy's definitely suspended a year plus, and now they seem to be singing a different tune.
Yes.
Is that what you're saying?
Into a more broader perspective, I go to this. If we have a collective bargained agreement, that is a contract. The contract states, say for instance, that all of us are equals here, that if one person does something, this is what it should be, the suspension. If it happens to a point where Bull does something and he doesn't get suspended, then I come to work and I do it, and they say, Garrett, we can't have that. It's in your agreement that you get suspended. We're not the. So then I go get my lawyer. My lawyer says, okay, well, let me see your policy.
Yeah.
And to break it down, the policy is just like the collective bargaining agreement.
Right.
So if I'm someone's lawyer, a high-priced lawyer, I'm going to say, well, I need to see whether or not you are sticking to what your agreement with the players are saying. And if I can prove that not only you didn't agree and not only you didn't follow the ruling, you didn't give them anything. So now that means you are in breach of contract, and I'm going to sue you from putting my player under suspension. Because here's the thing, you have to always say, what's good in this case has to be good in that case, or it's just simple discrimination.
Are you implying the treatment of the owners?
Yes.
Because, Jason, the contract is between the players and the league.
It does not include
It does not include the owners.
But anyone who falls under the collective bargaining agreement, it says vendors, it says owners, it says players, it says coaches. That is the collectively bargained language. It doesn't say players get this and owners get this. What we've learned is owners don't get it because we're not going to press the issue.
Right.
And so what we're assuming is that just because, well, the league always does that, they get what they want. But that's because the Players Association has never pressed them. And now you're in a court where she's handling this like a court. She's had 25 years. You can't come in front of her and tell you, hey, well, this is always the way it's been. Well, you've been operating wrong. Because if you're gonna set a precedent here and go to this level, I just ask you, I put them on defense. And I'm gonna ask you, in your investigation, can you explain to me why Robert Kraft received what was your findings in that? What was your findings in Jerry Jones, why he didn't receive anything? Can you tell us your process on that? We take those processes and compare them. If those processes don't equal up, then I have a very difficult time holding water on your case.
One thing I would say if I were trying to defend that is I would say Robert Kraft was paying a sex worker for sex. I mean, I think right there, the problem is these are differences. So Deshaun Watson went in there and that woman thought she was giving a massage. Whereas Robert Kraft went in there and that woman thought she was giving something very different.
Here's the thing. They're arguing on the premise of it doesn't matter if it's legal or not. It's about the perception and staining the shield. That's why we're here. It's not about whether or not, because neither one of them went to jail. If you're going to tell me you're soliciting, that's prostitution. There was a sex trafficking ring. If I'm sitting here on the other end and you're arguing, well, it was only him paying for sex. That's an illegal act.
There is a difference between, in that case, you have two willing parties who both know what's going on. That's what they're going to claim is the difference. So, you have two knowing parties who know what's going on in the Robert Kraft incident, as opposed to one knowing party and somebody who wasn't expecting that going in.
But are they suspending him for that? Or are they suspending him for...
They're suspending him for violation of the personal conduct policy, period.
Right.
And that anything
So the question
falls under
then
that.
is, so if Deshaun's crime, if you want to label it as that, or his violation was staining the shield, Robert Kraft paying for sex with a sex worker, it's against the law.
It's against the law.
Right. But he ended up not being charged.
Yes.
The video evidence was thrown out. So, Jay, I'm trying to figure out, is this an apples and oranges thing because it's the NFLPA and that collectively bargained agreement is between the league and the players? And as far as I know you said that there is language in the conduct policy
that they're supposed to be held to a higher
owners,
standard.
But the collectively bargained agreement between the NFLPA and the NFL does not include the owners.
Well, I think G's right. It does include owners, but the personal conduct policy itself to my knowledge, is players, and maybe I'm incorrect on that, because now we're really drilling down in the nitty-gritty that really I haven't looked at yet. But the thing that I guess I would bring up as we're discussing all this, and I think I mentioned this before, we had Rusty Harden on. Rusty said he believes only 2 of the cases were violations of the personal conduct policy. Now, again, this is Deshaun's own attorney speaking, and it doesn't necessarily mean that Judge Robinson would agree.
Sure.
And I don't even know which 2 he's referring to, and if those 2 are part of the 4 that they're discussing. Like, this was
we don't know the
before,
overlap.
Right, and this was back before all of these cases settled. But he said only 2 of the, at the time, 22 cases really were where you could argue was a violation of the personal conduct policy to begin with.
We discussed this earlier in the week, and we'll wrap this topic up by doing this. We all gave what we thought was going to happen now, with all the information that we have now. Have you changed? Where are you in terms of what you think Deshaun Watson is going to get from Sue Robinson? And do you think that will be the final word, or do you think it will be appealed?
I think I've been in the same with you. I've been in the 6 to 8 camp all along. And I haven't really moved off of that. I'm still in that. And I've kind of wavered at times on, is he going to overturn this or not? Is Roger going to come back over the top? I'm pretty confident that what was ruled is what will be. Only because this is the system he wanted in place.
Right.
This is what Roger wanted. Roger wanted
He's off the hook.
He's not catching the smoke now.
You don't think he'll appeal, but it's possible that Deshaun, if he thinks if it's 8 and he thinks it should be 4, he could certainly appeal.
And in fact, I said that when the start is, I was kind of thinking 6 to 8, and on appeal it gets knocked down to maybe 4. If it's 6, it's knocked to 4, 8 knocked to 6, or whatever. I guess the bigger concern from Browns fans' perspective is, if she rules, is Roger going to come over the top and
drop a hammer
and strengthen
which
it?
would be crazy.
And I don't think that will be the case.
I think that would be the outlier.
Really quickly, we haven't explored this. What are the ramifications of 0 games?
I think there are none.
I don't think there's any chance he gets 0 games.
I don't think he is, but in the end, there's people writing about it and complaining about it, but nothing concrete that actually negatively affects the NFL. I don't think.
I think you'd have some upset female, particularly NFL fans, who are at least biding their time and waiting to see how this settles out before they make their decision about whether to keep supporting the team. And I think that 0 would be a real slap in the face to them. And I think that they'd probably have to have a PR nightmare, and then we're already going to catch it when we go to other stadiums. I mean, he's going to be hearing it. If he gets 0 games and it seems like they got away with something, we are the villain. We're the heel of the league at that point. Yeah, I feel like.
G. Bush, for you to ask that question, what leads me to ask you: do you think there's a scenario where he gets 0 games?
See, I've already. There's a scenario where he gets suspended indefinitely. So to look at it objectively, you have to put yourself in a situation where you can imagine any of the games, right? So I've been down the road where it's indefinite. I've been down the road where it's 8 games. But I think we rarely talk about the part that is 0 games, because I think 0 games has the most ramifications on the broader picture of what the NFL is doing.
I think in the end, it is a female judge who is not bound by, she can use her own opinion because it's not a court of law. So if she wanted to, if she didn't think there was enough proof, but still was as a woman or as a person, he did something here, I got to suspend him. If she got to the point where she gave him 0, I feel like I don't know how anybody could have a problem with that. For me, as I've said for a couple of days now,
I think Goodell would appeal that.
He can't.
I don't think he can.
Oh no, you're right. 0 games, it's fine.
I'll be surprised
that's
if that
the
happens,
only scenario in which there's no chance for an appeal.
And that's why, to me, 0 is catastrophic because they can't even do nothing about that.
Yeah,
right.
I don't think the NFL loses 1 dime if it's 0. Not one.
I don't think there's a scenario.
There will be outrage.
Yeah,
there will be outrage.
I think I agree with you.
Does it cost the NFL a penny?
Well, Bull, that's hard to measure. How do you measure
it?
That?
It is, but realistically,
yeah, it could.
In ad sales,
you know what I think?
maybe?
Absolutely. I was going to say they could lose sponsors.
They would absolutely lose sponsors, Bull.
Yeah.
Short term, they'll gain new ones. It's a cash cow. People only care about money.
Yeah, but you know how the corporate game works. When the wind is blowing in one direction, corporations jump off, and
especially
they jump off fast.
Yep.
And this is.
I will see.
It's very fascinating.
I could see a lot of supportive tweets from Pepsi saying we can't ride with the NFL right now because of this decision or something like that, because they would feel like they have to try and.
And to your point, there's other sponsors out there that are willing to jump in. Do you want to be the sponsor that says let's sign up for that?
Yeah.
You know?
I don't know.
So I think
we'll see.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about surveys. We love rankings. ESPN, of course, has done survey after survey where they ask general managers, the team officials, to rank certain positions. And yesterday, I think we talked about quarterbacks and linemen, or maybe it was Tuesday.
Interior linemen.
Yeah, interior linemen. Let's now look at the recent rankings from this same survey on running backs. They have Derrick Henry at 1. I don't know that anybody's really going to pick fault with the top 5. Maybe you can move the order around a little bit.
Yeah.
But these are the guys. I mean, there's a group of 5 that separate themselves from everyone else. And I think, am I missing anybody here, guys, or is there someone there that doesn't belong? To me, that's
Let me
top
see
5
6
off
through
the
10
board in
again, see if
fantasy.
I disagree
I
with
know
any
you
of the
want
top
to.
5.
I know you want to sneak somebody in. You don't like where 6 is at, do you? Bull.
No, I got no problem with
Okay.
you. No, if anything, I might have Joe Mixon lower.
I was going to say, I
wow.
think Mixon's a
I'm
little high.
honest about my own players. I think Joe Mixon's in a good spot.
I mean, maybe McCaffrey's low because of his injury.
He's missed 2 years. He hasn't played much in the last 2 years. Javonte Williams, the surprise, is up there. He's a great talent, but he was a rookie last year and split carries, so I don't know why. Najee Harris should not be in the top 10. He's not a top 10 back, in my opinion.
No.
That's my beef. No, I think the top 5 is right. I don't know if I'd have it in that order.
Anyone outraged that Chubb is 3?
You can't really. I don't think you can
Outrage
compare too
is a
much.
strong
Yeah,
word.
outrage is a strong
I
word.
would argue he should be 2.
You would?
Yeah, like
I mean,
think,
Jonathan Taylor was the best back last year.
insane.
I mean, he was the best back in the league last
I
year.
think you got to take in consideration when you watching Chubb, you got to think about it. He's never even had 300 carries in a year. I mean, this guy's teetering around 260, 270. He's not getting 300 carries a year. And by the way, he's averaging over 5 yards a crack. And he shares time with Kareem Hunt. To me, if you put Nick Chubb in an offense that Derrick Henry's getting them touches, or the touches that Taylor is getting, he'd have the same amount of production. That's why I'm interested in seeing what he's going to do this year when they're going to be running the ball without Deshaun Watson.
If you go yard per carry, he'd have
Yeah.
more production.
Yeah, he did
on
have
that
200.
metric.
He had 298 carries in 2019. The other 3 years, he's not had more than 228. Now, some of that is, he's missed
Injuries,
some time
yeah.
the last couple of years.
Injuries, yeah.
But
Also, it's the way Stefanski chooses to use him. It's almost like he's just trying to keep both guys fresh for the
Yeah.
fourth quarter.
I mean-
So it's Chubb for a series, it's
Right.
Hunt for a series.
Nick Chubb gets
never both of them together.
His carries per game is not exceptionally low. I mean, he gets his
How many
carries
did
per
he have
game.
last year, though?
Carries. So he had just
Said
carries.
He's never had more than 228, except for the 1 year.
Right.
Yeah.
He had 228 last year in 14 games. So what's
See, I mean,
228
that's-
divided by 14?
That's crazy.
Yeah, for me, that's low. For,
That's a little
for a
low.
back like him who can be a workhorse back, I want to see him touch the ball more often than that.
That's 16 and a third carries per game.
Or
Now-
4 per quarter, Bull.
Yeah,
And I just don't think
and
that's
here's
enough.
The thing. Now you could argue, and I'll just to play devil's advocate, and I don't agree with the point I'm about to argue, but you could argue that part of the reason he's so good is because he's fresher than some of these other guys.
And he's
However,
got a backup who could be a starter in
right.
this place.
However, I think Nick Chubb is one of the few backs in the league. I do think Derrick Henry, Jonathan Taylor, and I think Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon is definitely one of these guys too. Is they get better the more they carry. I think the elite backs get better. And now Alvin Kamara is a great back, and whoever was number 4 on that list.
I already forgot. I'm like a
Kamara-
goldfish.
Dalvin
I'm
Cook,
fine.
number 5.
Dalvin
Alvin
Cook.
Kamara.
Those guys not as much, but Chubb, Taylor, Henry, Mixon, those 4 guys in particular.
Well, the ability
They get
to catch
better the more they
passes,
touch
too,
the
out of
ball.
the backfield
Yeah.
plays into this.
Yes.
Because they're more versatile, I think.
Yes.
I also think they could very well be extending Chubb's career. He's going to last longer
That's
than Derrick
true.
Henry because of the way that they're using him. And,
Yeah.
I think part of the sharing, and it drove me crazy too, I put on Twitter every Sunday, there's no such thing as too much Chubb.
Yeah.
More
No,
Chubb, the
that's-
better.
It's 100%.
But they're trying to save him for end of season, which last year there was no need.
Yeah.
They didn't make the
No,
playoffs.
that's right.
And
But-
again, this list is not made by ESPN. It's coaches, scouts, executives that
Right.
compile this.
But I
list.
think that they're extending his life shelf and his longevity, which they just signed him to a long-term deal.
And he'll probably sign another one because he likes it here and stuff
Well,
too, and they know that.
I mean, let's wait and see how much
What's
tires,
interesting about
treads
that
left on the
theory, though,
tires.
because the NFL for the last probably 2 decades has operated under the premise that a running back's going to get 5 years. And so I understand that you would like to extend his shelf life and maybe get 7 or 8 really productive years. But to me, in history, the truly elite backs, the Emmitt Smiths, those guys had long careers. They were just good.
Yeah.
They were good enough to stick around into their
Adrian
30s.
Peterson, same
And,
thing.
and,
Well,
I'm-
but
and
they're-
Adrian Peterson. So
Yeah.
I'm looking at
Stayed in
Chubb.
shape.
I can give you Todd Gurley, who was phenomenal, is out of football now
Well,
at a young age.
they ran his brakes
Sean
off,
Alexander, another guy,
I
was
mean,
a great player.
go
MVP,
look
and
at
he
how
was out of
they
the league.
used him.
Georgia, and then George, hey, Todd Gurley was getting the ball every play.
Every play he was involved
Yeah.
in, and so I think there's two extremes.
Yeah.
There's too much use and too little. I'd like to see a happy medium. Let's split the difference and use them how most teams are using premier
do you
backs.
think they see Ezekiel Elliott as a cautionary tale? Because he's kind of fallen off.
He hasn't been the same player.
No, he
and
was banged
has
up
had
last
some
year, but
injuries.
still.
Yeah.
But look, this is a position that gets injured. They could try to limit his carries to extend his career, and he could still have a devastating injury on any one of his carries. I mean, you're spinning the wheel every time you go on the football field.
And this is a case for me. Go back to that one graphic. Let me just show you this real quick. When you talk about elusiveness, backs take L's because they get hit a lot, right? They're the only position that either they're going to get tackled or
There's
fall
your
on
tag
the ground.
board.
There's the tag board.
Tag board. Oh, it's like a new show.
Yeah, it does.
Is this
Yeah.
Lucasfilms?
If you look at that, you got Kareem Hunt at
What
number
is the
2.
definition, by the way?
He's not elusive. He seeks contact.
But
He tries to hit guys.
But see, here's the thing.
Yeah.
He's so you just see him touching people. When Pro Football Focus really watches this, the first defender never tackled Nick Chubb or Kareem Hunt. They never get tackled by the first guy.
No.
There's always one guy that the back has to beat.
Yep.
Now, when you look at it, I look at Kareem Hunt and I say, I like him better than Najee Harris. To me, Kareem Hunt is a top 10 back playing for any other team.
Yeah, no doubt.
Top 10.
No doubt.
Now-
he doesn't make the list because he hasn't carried the
Because
ball
he
as
doesn't
much.
carry
Yeah.
the rock. But if you look at it, and Dearness Johnson is a starting running back. At least
At
a one.
worst, he's a quality number 2.
And so
At
you
worst.
got all three of these guys in the backfield, and I just keep waiting for it, Kevin Stefanski. Listen, man, this is an opportunity for you to look like the second coming of ground Chuck Noll. You can get creative. I wouldn't even mind seeing some Wildcat or something. These three dudes are that dynamic. I would say that the Browns have 2 running backs inside the top 10. 2.
Yeah.
Now,
We're going
legitimately.
to talk about that in just a second, but before we move on from the Chubb and the evaluations, McNuggets, if you can, throw the comment on the screen. This is from one AFC player who voted Chubb number 1. Contact, balance, explosion through the line, and usually his tape gets better throughout the year. He was born to run the football.
Yeah.
I think that's a really accurate description
Yeah,
of what this guy
absolutely.
does.
Yeah.
By the way, Chubb has never, even the year he had 298 carries, he averaged 18.62 a game. He's never averaged more than that per game.
That's crazy.
18.6 carries per game.
That's crazy.
But there's not that many backs that average 20 carries anymore.
Now, but you know what?
Yeah.
That was the most he averaged in a season.
That was the most.
Use your calculator
Yeah.
and tell me what he's averaged for his career. I bet it's going to be closer to 14.
Yeah, I mean, well, the rookie year's not fair because remember when he first started playing, they had
I know.
Carlos Hyde. He wasn't playing a lot, but
Oh, I know.
in the
forgot
last
about
3
that.
years combined, he's averaged about somewhere in the 17s. The last 3 years, he's averaged about
I
17.
just want.
change.
He's not.
If you
you're-
take the rookie year, it would probably knock it down to like 15.
right, but
Yeah.
to me, he's a premier back, and I
He
don't
is,
think
no
you can
doubt.
show me another premier back in history who's averaged 15 carries a game.
I agree with you all. I would like to see him average 22 carries.
I'd be interested.
great number.
I'd be
Yeah.
interested to see what the offense is when Deshaun Watson gets here. Like, how many carries is he going to get, or is it just going to be shotgun? Stefanski is happy with throw it everywhere.
Number one, there's one ball.
Yeah.
And we're talking about this top 5 quarterback that they're bringing in. And you have to throw the ball to win in the NFL. And that's what gets overlooked. I looked it up. I could find it if you give me a minute. It's bonkers. Teams that average over 8 yards a carry, 8 yards a carry over the last however many years are like 12 and 12. Like, it doesn't guarantee you anything.
Right.
But if you throw it for, I think it was 12 yards per pass, you're like 32 and 1.
Yeah.
Like, you have to, throwing the ball will win you games in the NFL.
you do.
It's almost
Throwing
like the
successfully.
NFL is now a passing league.
And is that, but
that
even
true?
I saw that coming.
but as good as Nick Chubb is,
Yeah.
And I'm a proponent every Sunday. Give him the ball more. It doesn't guarantee you anything in the NFL anymore to run the ball successfully. You have to throw the ball to win.
No, but what they can do now with Watson when he plays is they're going to get a bunch of leads because he's going to be really good, and then you wear the game out by
Well,
running down
ideally,
the
I
stretch.
think that's what their plan all along
Right, right,
was.
right.
It looks like that is the
Yeah.
plan.
Plus, Watson's going to run a lot more than Baker ran, so there's some carries there.
All right, let's talk about, because you touched on it, the collective talent in the Browns running back room. And as you look around the league, I don't think, to me, there's no argument that the Browns have the most talented running back room in the NFL. But I think for this discussion, let's move it to all the position groups in the NFL. Is there, guys, a more talented position group on any team in the NFL than the Browns running back core?
Bengals receivers might be there. Bengals receivers are very good.
Bengals kicking
they are tremendous.
team.
I think it would be hard to compare like a quarterback room because most teams don't have a.
No, I mean,
but if you talk about skill position rooms,
you can even go like defensive linemen.
Yeah,
there are teams that have an abundance of, an embarrassment of riches at that position.
Yeah, I mean, it's right there. Certainly, the Bengals wide receiving group is right there as well.
Washington Commanders defensive line. They got a lot of people up front with Sweat.
But they weren't as good last year as they were the year before.
The
Niners defensive line is really good.
Very good.
Yeah.
Carolina QB room. Right? Now.
Now the Baker's
I mean, they have 2 top 5 picks at quarterback.
There you go.
Can you imagine? They've got a 1 and a 3 from the same draft. And neither was drafted by that team.
Go get Rosen. Go get Rosen.
We need a counter at the bottom of the screen for the subliminals that Mike hit on. Like, that's 2 in a row. He got 2 subliminals I like to do.
I'm actually surprised that none of you, first of all, were mad that Eckler wasn't on there. I thought you guys would get
I do like Eckler. He should be on
good.
there. He's much better than
Najee Harris. I would take Harris off and put
of
Eckler
course,
in there.
what we think is almost irrelevant, as you know. It's what the internet thinks about this Nick Chubb situation that matters. Mikey, do we have the internet reacting to this?
Nice work.
We do, and anytime we bring you internet comments, we bring the comments to you from PCC Airfoils. Looking for a job with career advancement and great benefits? PCC Airfoils is a leading manufacturer in Northeast Ohio.
Just the best.
All locations of PCC Airfoils in Eastlake, Mentor, Wickliffe, and Minerva are hiring for all positions starting at $18 and up, plus get full benefit packages, paid time off, and a signing bonus. Apply online at precast.com/careers. To learn more, Steve, let's take the first one. These are some reactions to just Nick Chubb as an
tag board
overall
reactions?
monster, an overall beast, and yes.
We have tag board reactions.
Tag board reactions here. This is from Nick Carnes. There were just 7 running backs who crossed the 1,000-yard rushing mark in 2021. Nick Chubb had the fewest attempts of all 7 backs, while finishing as the NFL's second leading rusher. Elite, efficient, and electric.
I particularly enjoy that picture. Where the Bengals are just swinging
You'll love
in
the
air.
next one.
I could watch that a lot.
Nick Carnes got the best Browns tweet. He be having all kind of Browns tweets with numbers in them and stuff.
Thanks, Nick.
Yeah,
appreciate it, man.
We need to hire him as an associate researcher.
By that, we mean you should do it for free.
Tag board. Live video.
We can show gifts within tag board. Look at this technological advancement. This was just a response to the ESPN article saying, Nick Chubb's
That was an
Anytime
awesome
we can put this GIF
moment.
on TV, we put this GIF on
That's
TV.
what we call in the hood the 5-finger discount.
I could watch that over and over.
Me too.
We are right now watching it over and over.
Thank you, tag board.
We should just play that in the corner of the screen for the whole entire show.
It was very cathartic.
He's getting lifted. Look at him. He's
both feet are off the
and
ground
boom.
at the same time.
I mean, how humiliating is that for a defensive
As
player?
a grown man, both of your
God.
feet are never supposed to be off the ground at the same time.
My
Ever.
God.
Not if somebody else's hand is in your face.
Yeah,
that's the worst time both feet can be off the ground.
Nick Chubb, who doesn't seem like an angry guy, took out a lot of anger on this gentleman.
Good gracious.
Can you put this back to back with the Myles Garrett, Mason Rudolph interaction?
You know what? Throw Turkey Joe Jones dropping Terry Bradshaw
exactly.
on his head,
Mix
too.
it up.
You got the trifecta of Steelers hurt.
And we have one more here. This is a Steve Becker nomination. It has nothing to do with Nick Chubb, but it was funny. The Cleveland Browns spent 23 seasons trying to find one player that could change the culture, one guy to lift us up from the depths of despair. We found that guy for the first time since 1999, won our first playoff game since 1994, but then threw him away. Thank you, Andrew Sendejo. And I think he spelled Sendejo wrong.
Yeah, he did. Well, that makes the tweet
The
even
premise
better.
is even better because it's not spelled right.
Awful
On
here.
my show, The Barbershop, we refuse to even mention his name. His name is number 23.
Oh, he was awful.
Wow. He was bad. And that's disparaging number 23.
Right.
Which has a certain meaning in sports.
He was taking a lot of heat from us because I think we were just like, what can we aim this fury at?
Yeah,
Boom,
we
Sendejo, we hate you. I think that's what happened to him.
He got
Bad
so
timing.
much playing time too. He was just like on everything. I think they even played special team. I'm like, dang.
Yeah.
He just.
I loved his effort, but so often the guy was just in the wrong place.
Yeah, I think the peroxided hair didn't help. I feel like the image, like he's an easy guy to like look at.
That's
and
usually
hate.
a phase you go through like in
Yeah.
junior high.
Yep.
And
Not
he
him.
carried it into the NFL.
Sendejo
By the
brought
way,
it with
I
him.
know it wasn't on the plan for today, but I've seen ESPN's wide receiver list.
Yeah.
They put their tight end
Hey,
list
we're doing
out
it
today.
tomorrow. We're doing it
We're
tomorrow.
doing wide receiver list?
Yep.
All right.
Bull's about to kill that
He
one.
had
down.
Jumping the gun, man. He's ready to go.
I already made the graphics for you, Bull. Don't worry.
We're also for tomorrow's show, you know, the Bengals helmets. You mentioned the Bengals helmets.
yeah.
We will go in depth on the Bengals white helmets.
And I found a couple Photoshops, which is why I said I already had this planned. Of
Okay.
Browns white helmet Photoshops. We're gonna judge which one of us is our favorite of these Browns Photoshops.
Okay, that's nice. Are
These
you
jersey
guys
ideas.
the five? Is everybody here in favor of having a white alternative helmet?
I've
I
been
am.
told by insider, by sources,
Sources.
that the Cleveland Browns are seriously considering
They
the
should.
white helmets.
Wow.
As
Would
a
you guys
part
all
of
be
the
in favor
rules.
of it?
I would.
I could never care less if they do.
I don't really care that much, but I would be in favor.
my least favorite like Browns argument online all the time
uniforms?
is like uniforms. How blue or how brown should the brown be? How orange should the orange be?
I agree with
putting
Mike.
a stripe here and everyone arguing about that stripe.
And
Like,
here's the thing:
I'm
if you
just
have
not
100
motivated.
TVs, they all look different. Everybody's
Sure,
color
that's
settings
true.
are different. So what difference does it
I
make?
get the appeal for people. It's just not my bag. I don't care.
I agree.
I love uniform talk.
Leave
though.
it to the black guy. I'm gonna tell you what, I like all the uniforms. I need all of them.
Yeah.
We need alternates. Where's the gunmetal gray at? I need white helmets. I'm the guy who likes Oregon. And people like Penn State and Alabama, I love their uniforms. I'm like, man, I can't go there. If you ain't got no alternates, bro, I can't go there.
And we're getting to helmets and jerseys soon.
College
enough.
football helmets.
We have
coming
college
up.
football helmets top
I
five
would
coming up.
co-sign the white helmets.
I-
Jason,
I'm with. You know what bad teams do? They worry about the uniforms. They change the colors all the time because they're so crappy on the field.
Oregon's pretty good.
They have to take
Oregon has a different uniform.
Well,
for every-
Oregon's
fan
different
base.
because of Nike.
Sure.
And because of
Yeah.
Phil
I
Nike.
am in favor of the white helmet, but I do agree that I don't really care
Who
ultimately.
cares?
It's
Win
not an
games.
important thing to me.
Although we did
Young
have,
people care too.
when LeBron was
people are
when
all
LeBron,
about
Love it.
when LeBron was here, he said all the time, look good, feel good. The Browns uniforms are awful. They need to change everything, change the colors, change everything because guys don't feel good playing in.
I'd be like,
Brown
play
colors.
good, feel good. How about that instead?
By the way,
Have you ever talked to LeBron about the orange and brown?
Oh yeah, yeah.
He's hilarious about it.
Oh,
If
he-
you-
Do you have anything orange and brown in your closet?
yeah, right.
You ever leave the house feeling good in orange and brown?
You know what? So I wore an orange Under Armour like quarter zip a couple days after he said that. He's like, man, get out of here with that. You look
Yeah.
ridiculous.
McNuggets, can we get these people? By the way, if you are a college team and you want to donate a helmet to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, and we will put it somewhere.
Big fact.
We will put it in the background. We got a Browns helmet, but if you're Kent State, you're Akron, you're OU, Ohio State, send us a
Okay,
helmet.
so I happen to know that somebody at Colleague Racing watches the show daily in a very high position. You know who you are. I'm talking to you right now. This person told me yesterday they watch every day at Colleague Media.
Oh, boy.
At the racing.
Good,
You know,
we
at
like
their,
it.
At their
A lot of
headquarters.
pressure.
Send us an Akron helmet. We'll throw it on the set.
Done.
Okay.
Guys,
I went to Kent.
we
We're gonna
gotta
have
have
to-
a Kent one
Yeah,
to
we went to
balance it out.
Kent.
Yeah, we need a
Kent
Kent
helmet.
We need a
then.
Bowling Green.
Yeah.
We need an OU.
Mac in
you
the
got
building.
the OU connection.
Yeah, yeah.
Nothing says big time football like Kent, Bowling Green, and Akron.
Well, wait a minute. Where did you
You
go to
shut
school?
up.
Wait, hold on. Where did you go?
Rockport, baby.
Do they have a football team?
We do.
How are the Peaches
Come
looking this
on.
year? Is it the Rockport
They've
Peaches?
been in the Final Four of Division III playoffs.
What are they
a few
called?
times
They're the
recently.
Rockport
What are
what?
they, what's their nickname?
Brock.
I'm
with
so
a B.
sorry. I didn't mean Brockport
The
what?
Golden Eagle.
Oh, hey, now nothing
That's
says
terrifying.
big time college football.
Like the
I
Golden
can't
Eagle.
believe we have
Rockport
big time
Golden
college
Eagle.
football.
No, but
Okay.
get one back there. You should have. That'd be
We
We
have
hang
had
my
2
college
NFL
jersey?
players from our school, though.
nice.
What was that?
That's not
Can
McNuggets.
we hang my Emerson jersey?
Absolutely not.
No.
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 Hey, I never asked. Did the set get put back together after
Kind
Super
of.
Joe
Bernie's
was
helmet
in?
now
Yeah.
sits lower and you can't see it.
Yeah, we got to get.
So Super Joe Sharpen
Super Joe
busted
destroyed the set.
Yeah,
Kool-Aid
busted
Man
our
through
set
it.
all to pieces. You want to go to this Utah Jazz talk?
Yeah, we'll make it quick. We'll make it
I
quick.
think okay.
There you go, Jason.
I
Tell us how
personally,
crazy
I'm
we are.
wondering why this is even being discussed.
Here we
It
go.
was reported by Jake Fisher of Bleacher
I know,
Report.
but why? Jason, there's no way. Yeah, right. There's no way the Cavs make a trade for Donovan Mitchell. Is there?
But Jason, before you answer, can I show you my proposed trade that works on ESPN's trade
Yes,
machine?
let's go ahead.
Humor the boy.
Well,
Please,
when you
humor
say
the
it
boy.
works, it means salary-wise.
Salary-wise, and
it
Steve
doesn't
Becker,
work.
Steve Becker said this morning he would take the trade if he was the Jazz. Now,
All right, let me
we're
see.
gonna.
There you
Okay,
go.
yeah, sure.
Got the
if you're
Becker seal of
Jazz.
approval.
Okay, so let's take it 45,
Let me see
Steve.
this.
This is the proposed trade. It lines up money-wise.
Done. I do
Donovan
it.
Mitchell for Collin Sexton, Abaji, Okoro, and 2 first-round picks
Done.
in 2024
Oh,
and
yeah, I'd do
2026.
that.
The Jazz would do that?
But
Cavs, I would. I'm out of here.
Of course you'd do that. if
well,
you
they're
could.
going to get a haul. We know
They're
that.
going to get a haul.
But this isn't a position of need.
A scoring is a position of need.
Well, first of all, Utah would never do that because Sexton's coming into his big money deal. Utah's looking for picks. They want draft picks. And the Knicks have a ton of draft picks. They have a war chest of draft picks. A team like Oklahoma City Thunder has a war chest of draft picks. But I don't know that the Thunder are in a position to, like, they're not ready to win right now. And that's the one thing.
The Knicks are?
No.
Well,
they
the
need
Knicks are the
something.
Knicks. The Knicks are the Knicks. They're looking for
They
star
want a
power.
box office draw.
Yeah,
Yep.
they're looking for star power.
Yeah.
I think he probably winds up in New York. I think we reported yesterday that their talks are intensifying
Right,
between
right.
the Knicks and the Jazz. I would take him on the Cavs, absolutely.
Yeah.
Of course.
But they don't have the pick equity that a team like Utah is going to look for in this. And the Cavs have done a great job on nailing their draft picks. The one thing that they haven't really been able to do in the terms of this rebuild is acquire extra picks. They don't really have a ton of extra first-round picks. They did have one extra one, and they spun it into Jared Allen. That's a win. That's
Yeah,
a
big
big
win.
win. But they don't have a ton of leftover. They've already got their next number one out going, obviously, to Indiana from the Levert deal. So they don't. The team, what teams are going to look for in a deal, what Utah is going to look for, the Cavs don't have. So I don't think
Right.
they're a good match.
But
It's
in
not gonna-
theory, if Utah were to take
Oh,
that
if they
deal,
wanna be dumb enough to-
you'd
yeah, I
100% do
would-
that
of
if you were the
course.
Cavs.
Yeah,
No
no
brainer.
I think the pieces are here, and I think we already have that piece. I mean, is
Oh.
it an upgrade? Yeah.
I
But
mean-
I mean, what does this team need? Don't they need a swing? When you,
They need a wing.
You need a wing
They need a
badly.
playmaking
and,
wing.
and so I don't understand how that would address this need.
How good is
It just gives you a fourth excellent player.
How good is
I know,
Donovan
but
Mitchell?
you've got an
is he
excellent player at that
super
position.
superstar, or is he like? Because here's the thing: if you traded for him, certain people, he's just that good.
Yeah.
It don't matter what position you need; he can get you over the hump.
Yeah.
How good is Donovan
He's
Mitchell?
not to me. He's not a top 10 player in the league.
I don't think he is either.
No.
So,
But he's
is
a
he-
top 20, 25.
top 25.
Probably,
I'd
yeah.
put him in the top 25.
So you'd have 4 top 25, or at least 3, if not 4, potential top 25 guys.
Not a lot of pressure on him.
Top
Take
30.
the pressure
G.
off
Bush's
him. Multiple
point, though, is a
All-Star.
good one. G. Bush's point is,
Yeah.
is he the crown jewel that's currently missing?
He
No,
might be the crown
He's
jewel that's
not- is he
available.
going to put this Cavs team over the hump?
No, but there is that guy isn't available. That's
Right.
That's
Well,
accurate.
yeah,
And more
unfortunately.
importantly, if Utah would take that deal, Cavs would do that in a second.
How would Mitchell fit in with Garland?
Hey, before you answer that, I just want to point something out to you guys. You know, not a lot of superstars want to come to Cleveland. Throughout the history of the NBA and NFL, we've seen that. But check out this tweet from Donovan Mitchell. Steve, let's pull up the tag board. Donovan Mitchell did tweet one time. Very impressed with the energy here in Cleveland. Still ain't got nothing on Vivid. I'm not quite sure what that is. But it's
That's
very
Utah's
loud.
home arena. Well, clearly, there
So-
he's ready to come.
He's ready to come to
Yeah,
Cleveland.
so he's on his way. On his
Obviously.
way. Is that from
He's in.
1998?
I changed my
Just
mind
throwing
on
that out
all
All
that.
right, so now that he's a Cavalier, how will he fit in with Darius Garland?
Yeah, how would that work? I mean,
You don't want to take the ball out of Darius's hands, period.
I agree.
That's where he's the playmaker for this team. He makes them go. And they could play. Listen, I think Donovan and Darius fit better than Collin and Darius.
You do?
Oh, yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I that's when I first heard this. I'm like, I don't know. I do
Yeah,
think
the
it would
fit.
be a better fit, but is it going to be so much more dramatic that it's worth doing?
That it's
Yeah.
worth losing Isaac Okoro? Sure, I'll take a swing.
That's 4. The counter.
I mean,
the
really.
side,
by
that's
the way,
4.
you know there's at least 18 tool jobs at home saying, I'm not trading Agbai Ajibaji
Right.
or whatever the hell his name
He had a
is.
great
what's
game in
in-
Vegas yesterday.
Hey, I ain't gonna lie. I was like, oh man, he's the next Reggie Miller. We got him. I ain't gonna lie, bro. I was at the crib happy as hell.
I mean,
bro.
he scored 27 in a summer league game against
Looking
Mike
good.
Hudson.
Put him in the rafters.
Tables next
Put him
week.
in the rafters next to Hot Rod Williams. That's where he's going
I
to
was
go.
gonna ask Jason off camera. Hey, what you think
They don't
about
have
that
those
dog?
great nicknames anymore.
I know. It
What a great
stinks.
nickname that was, Hot Rod
Hot
Williams.
Rod Williams.
Yeah, no, what
That's
a
an
great
awesome nickname.
Yeah, but World Be Free. That's not even a nickname. He changed his
Changed
name.
his
to
name.
World Be Free.
Well, so did Ron Artest change
Yeah,
his name to
Meta
Meta
World
World
Peace.
Peace.
But like Hot Rod Williams is just so innocent too. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like he's a
It's
real
like a-
hot rod out there.
Yeah.
It's adorable. He was a great player.
All right, have we exhausted this topic? It
We
feels
have.
like we have.
Yes, we have.
So he's coming to the Cavs, and we'll have to see how he
We'll be
fits.
excited.
Just one last point. I think Utah might be starting to try to rebuild.
Yeah, you know,
Maybe?
to quote
Do you
Brian
think so?
Windhorst,
Yeah.
what's going on in Utah?
I think so.
That was amazing.
That
It was.
that. Honestly, if you haven't seen that, you need to Google it.
Yeah.
It literally. I love Brian. He is
Yep.
low key that dude. I know you know him well.
He
but
always talks that way.
He
just-
does talk that
he's,
way.
He's
in real
always
life.
doing this.
Yes,
He's
but
got
he's got
more like-
cadence to him.
Yeah.
But you've known him since the beginning. He's got, with more confidence, he's grown into that like character more. He used to be like quick and get his points across because he knew he was on borrowed time. But now everyone knows that he knows his stuff. So he's like, all right, everyone gather round.
Yeah, he is holding court. And I loved how everybody at the table was literally at
mesmerized.
the edge of their seat, like, where is this dude going?
I think some people were like, is he having a stroke? Should we call someone? I feel like there were some people saying that.
something's going on.
And like 6 hours later. 6 hours
Yes,
later.
I
we
know.
had the
It
answer.
couldn't have been any better.
Yeah.
it was
it
great.
could not have been any better. We love Brian Windhorst.
But yeah, poor Utah fans right now. Those are some real sad Mormons
And they
today.
don't even get to listen to music.
And they don't get to listen to music or dance. It's like the
Can't
town
dance.
from Footloose.
Tough life.
Yep.
All right, top 5 most traditional or best traditional college football helmets. We talked about this just briefly, but
This is a G. Bush and Jay
now
special.
when you say traditional,
the
I
rest of us
think
don't care.
it's most iconic is how I ended up picking
Okay.
this list. The
Yeah.
Most
most
iconic helmets.
Okay,
College
so
football
we'll go iconic. Okay.
so I wrote down 4 because that I consider traditional. But let's hear your top 5.
All right, well, before we get to the top 5, let's introduce you guys to our favorites. Roundstone Insurance, the Ultimate 5, is sponsored by Roundstone Insurance. Roundstone offers a better alternative for affordable quality health care. For more than a decade, Roundstone Insurance has been saving small and mid-sized businesses money, an average of 20%. Yeah, 20%. Contact us today to learn how you can get great health care benefits that your employees will love and save money too. So I did a lot of research.
What percent can you say with Roundstone?
20%.
What, not 15,
Not 15,
Roundstone.
not 18.
20%.
That's so much higher than
You know what you
15.
can do with 20%?
What's that?
A lot.
20%
Exactly.
more.
20% more than you could
And you know
otherwise.
what? Here's the thing. With inflation being at 9.1%,
Yep.
it's like you're 11.9%
There you
ahead of the
go.
game.
That's a great way to look at it.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
how I look at it.
So
All
I
right,
did
let's
a
look at
lot
some
of
helmets.
research on this topic last night.
You did?
I came down to a top 10.
Oh.
Now,
Wow,
I'll tell
so
you
it's
the
not a
honorable
top
mentions.
five.
You have a
and then we'll
rich
do the top
nightlife.
5. But yeah, last night not great. But I did a lot of research. The
cut
one
out
thing
the
I found
Tinder
was there
dates
was no
yesterday.
consensus. Every list had a different number 1. There's a couple that were on the top 5s of all of them, but everyone kind of had a different opinion here.
So let me just clarify that this is not really your list, but an amalgam of amalgam.
No, this
appropriate
is
word
my
here?
list.
Of other people's lists.
No, this is my list, but I just wanted to see if I was missing an obvious one or whatever, and I
Gotcha.
came to the conclusion
Okay.
that I think my list is correct, but there are a lot of different variations depending on what you
All right.
use as the
All right,
exact
let's go.
criteria.
Are you
So-
going to give us your honorable mention?
Yes, I'm gonna give you the
And
honorable mentions.
Rockport damn well better be on it.
Or you and I are fighting on the air.
All right, well, let's get the boxing gloves behind you, Bill, because we're scrapping. Rockport was not
Number
even
5,
in
Kent
honorable
State.
honorable mentions. Kent State, no.
What
None
are
of-
your colors? And don't say pink and yellow.
Green and gold.
Green and gold.
Green and
okay.
gold. Nice.
Okay,
Very
so
nice.
the honorable mentions, in no particular order, but this is 6 through 10, Notre Dame,
Oh, wow.
Penn State, Oklahoma, Florida State, and LSU.
And we
You
don't got
failed.
No, we don't got no
As-
pictures of these?
I despise Notre Dame, but it's got to be
They
the top
have to.
5.
I had two.
And Penn State.
Yeah, I had Penn State, Notre Dame
Florida
in my
State?
top 5.
Florida State.
Florida
That
State's
gives a
helmets are
crap
great.
They got a
about-
little
I just-
alligator on
Wait,
them.
are we talking cool or iconic?
Iconic.
Because there's a big
No, but
difference.
it's like,
Mikey's on his heels already.
Yeah, he's backing up. He's backing
I'm
up.
very confident in
Well,
my list.
the note last night said traditional helmets. Now
Yeah, but
you're
that-
going iconic. I mean, we're splitting hairs
All
there
right.
between them.
All right, can you run that back again?
You got to have
here,
Notre Dame
run
in the
that
top
back
5.
again.
That's a
No,
failure.
I don't like. I think Notre Dame's helmets are classic. I don't like them. I think they're ugly personally, but they are iconic.
But
This is
when you
not
talk
my
about
personal
tradition,
preference.
Yeah, I mean,
they spray paint the helmets before every game.
Yeah.
With real gold mixed into
I don't
the
care.
paint.
and I only know
That's,
that because of Rudy.
that's one of the
only reason I know
grossest
that.
things I've ever heard. With like where the poverty level is at in America right now, that is
By
one
the
of
way,
the
I
most
was
disgusting
told-
things I've heard.
I
out
was
there.
told the real Rudy's a real D-bag. That's what I heard.
Really?
Yes.
Huh? Full of himself.
I
know.
interviewed him once. I don't remember
when,
him.
when I was
One decent game. That's
when
all
I
it
was
took.
calling games for another D3 powerhouse, Utica College, their head coach at the time was a walk-on with Rudy, and he didn't like Rudy.
Well, because
And
they didn't
maybe he
make
had
a
a beef.
movie about this guy.
Yeah, maybe he
Because
had
they
a
showed him up. Yeah.
Slight
exactly.
axe to grind.
Yeah.
I have
Fair
been
enough.
told by
Source.
I have been told by many sources that they didn't even really know Rudy's name. You know, the whole scene where they carried him off the shoulders and the whole bit. Everybody came in. Dan Devine was the coach, and they put their jerseys on. Didn't happen.
Never happened.
Right. Absolutely didn't happen. So
G. Bush, one more time.
Yeah,
I know you asked for the honorable mentions again. In no particular order, 6 through 10.
Okay.
Notre Dame, Penn State, Oklahoma, Florida State, LSU.
I don't know about the LSU one.
I don't either.
I'm not big.
All right.
But
We're
that
already
is
made with your list.
let's
Let's
get
do
the top
6
five.
through 10.
Number 5.
Number 5.
I still don't know if
tag
this is
board,
iconic or if this is cool.
Yeah.
the Miami Hurricanes helmet.
Florida State's is better than Miami.
By the way,
Not true.
we're being told
Not
that
true.
you're going to get your ass kicked if Michigan's not number 1 by somebody.
I
Michigan's
can
on the
only guess
list.
Who that is.
We're getting to Michigan. Don't worry. So you guys don't like Miami?
No.
See, I just read it differently. I thought when you said traditional, I thought you meant traditional. Miami's
that's a
helmet
fair
is not
interpretation.
traditional.
But that U's been there forever. When I think of helmets, I think of like the 30 for 30, the U. The U sticks out as traditional, iconic.
If you don't have,
Maybe it's different
Traditional's different for
generational
him. He's 28 years
Young.
old.
if you don't got,
Miami football didn't even exist until the 70s.
if you don't
It
got
doesn't exist
stickers
again
to go
now.
on
It's
helmets,
nothing.
If Florida State got Seminoles, they got Buckeyes, they got Wolverine. I need to see your helmet with stickers on it. Like that's how I know you good.
Right.
Miami never has any stickers, so
They've got the turnover. What is it? The turnover
Chain.
All right. What's number 4?
That's real creative.
All right. Well, we introduced you tag board earlier. Tag board's down.
Wonderful. We overused it. We overused
run.
tag board. There it is.
there we go.
Hey, tag board.
Way to go, big board.
So
Damn
well
you.
done. Do you have your
Well done,
you have your
Director
whiteboard?
Steve. I have my whiteboard.
All right, I'm gonna
damn,
get in Jay's. Don't worry about it. We'll just run through it real quick.
Okay.
do it.
Until tag board's
Yeah.
up.
It's off to the left here.
Number 4, and I don't like the school, but the Texas Longhorn white helmet with the traditional burnt orange Longhorn mascot.
Jeez.
If you're just tuning in,
I mean,
we're
that's
describing
embarrassing.
football helmets to you on our
That's
sports show right
embarrassing
now.
to have that ahead of Notre Dame. And I hate Notre Dame.
He has
Despise them.
Miami ahead of Notre Dame.
That's
The
ridiculous.
Notre Dame helmet, it's too boring.
It's
I don't like it.
traditional.
Also, tag board, we
Tradition.
have no idea what's happening
All
with
right,
tag
go
board
ahead.
right now. All right, number 3, USC.
Picture, if you will, a crimson helmet.
Just everyone
Gold.
picture
USC's a good choice.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'll do
USC
USC.
would be in
That's
my
a great
top
one.
5.
For our
do that.
viewers who can't remember what it looks like, describe the helmet to us,
I'm
Mike.
Googling it.
Pull the
As long as
picture. Show it on the phone.
As long as Todd Marinovich
Why
is
were
not
you
wearing
asking
it.
me to get my clip?
He wants
Well,
you to
draw-
draw.
I was
You
gonna
think
get
I'm gonna
your
draw
IFB.
these
No,
helmets?
but
Like
you
win,
can
lose,
put
or
it on
draw.
and we'd zoom in like we did that one day. Yeah.
Okay.
Here.
Yeah.
Here, you need to see it?
USC.
We all know.
Just pass
we
it
all know.
around.
Number 2.
Number 2.
Oh, yeah, I can see that. I can see that. Yeah, you guys get it.
Yeah, no question.
Number 2.
You guys get it. There we go.
Number 2 is the Michigan Wolverines.
Okay.
Oh, boy.
Well, we're not showing that one.
So you left
Not on
Ohio
this show.
State. You're going to leave Ohio State off this.
Do you think
list.
this?
He kissed ass properly to the Buckeye fans.
Do you think
No,
that?
it
listen,
number
Ohio State's number 1.
Oh, it is number
It is
1.
actually number 1.
Okay,
I
good.
think the difference with Notre Dame and Ohio State, they're both plain. The stickers. The Buckeye stickers are my favorite before I came here. This
It
is
is-
not a
it
Panther
is the
pick.
coolest.
My
It is
single
the best.
favorite part of any helmet in college
So
football.
yeah.
Do you think the tag board became sentient and didn't want to show the Michigan helmet, so it shut itself off? Is that possible?
You know what? Your theory holds water if suddenly it is up and we can show the Ohio State helmet.
Yep, that would be amazing, Steve.
But it doesn't look like
nope,
that's
never
the
mind.
case.
My theory's over.
Steve, what does tag board look like at this moment?
It's
the best.
smoking.
All right,
There's,
thank
there's a
you.
bunch of
Tag
smoke
board.
coming out of that room.
First of all, it's almost funny that we have been teasing tag board
Yeah.
for months.
No one knows
Since
what it
we
is.
launched this show,
Yep.
we've
Yes.
been saying we're going to get tag board, even though nobody knows what
No,
it is.
nobody knows what it is.
We have it for 40 minutes, and it's down.
See, people in the chat, I'm gonna tell y'all something, man. If there's any black people in the chat, you've heard this before. Remember when you were sitting around and your grandma used to just come up out of nowhere and say, "Turn that off.
Yeah.
You need to give it a rest." I'm like, "Grandma, what are you talking about? TVs don't need to be unplugged." Yes, it does. And if
get
it's
overheated.
it's
Yeah.
you about to mess everything up. Turn them lights off. It's thunderstorming too.
Yeah, it makes no sense scientifically, Grandma.
Wait, what are you talking about? Yeah, give it a rest.
Grandma doesn't follow the
You've
science.
been playing that game all day. Go ahead and
I have
shut it
Ohio
off.
State's helmet if we need it.
But it doesn't have
Does
the
everyone
Buckeyes
need to
on
see
the
Ohio State's helmet?
Oh, they're on the other side?
Yeah.
There it is.
Okay.
All right, if we can get our awesome graphic department to zoom in on this.
Just on the, so we can show.
iPhone.
Yeah, Steve, let's
We're just
get
gonna
close
show
up here. We
them
got to give
the
the
Ohio
people what
State
they
helmet.
want, and they want the number 1 helmet in college football.
All right, now, there's Woody.
What happened?
All hell has
that's
broken loose.
There you go. There it is.
There it is. There it is.
We need to see the other side, though, with the Buckeye helmet.
So you did not. So you didn't have Alabama,
Nope.
That's L.
Penn State,
I had an honorable mention.
Alabama has to be on.
Alabama has to be on there.
Alabama, Penn State, Notre Dame, Ohio State, USC.
This
That's
list
the top
was a
5.
disaster. The
Wait,
tag
hold
board
on
was a
one sec.
disaster.
We have Jen Matthews in a sec, but Bull says Michigan should be number 1. Jay didn't have Michigan on it
I
at
didn't
all.
say that.
Wait, what?
Bull, you did not say Michigan was
No, I
number
said
1?
somebody said it. Steve Becker said
Oh,
it.
wow.
He texted and said
Well,
he should be number 1. He's going to kick your ass.
I can't put Michigan on my top 5.
Why would you put
it a
No,
cool
it should
helmet?
be. It should be.
It
It's
is a
great
cool helmet.
It
It's
is,
a
but it's
great
not
helmet.
better than Ohio State to me.
No, it's not, but I can't even put it in my top 5.
You've got to be able to
because
remove
Michigan.
yourself emotionally from these sorts of things and judge
Unable
that.
to do that.
Okay, all right.
I am able to do it. I would have Michigan in the top 5, but I'd probably have them 4th or 5th for me. I would
Michigan,
have.
Ohio State, Notre Dame, Alabama.
Penn State,
Penn
to
State
me,
got
is
Penn
just...
State's top 5.
Penn
I'd
State's
put
not.
Michigan
Penn State's
ahead of
the
Alabama.
most boring helmet in college football.
I would have Ohio
Boring,
State
but
1, Notre Dame
traditional.
2, Michigan 3. I think that would be my top.
Penn State got the most boring uniforms that look cool. Like they kind of,
Yeah.
you're like, wow. If you throw some black spats on with like some Nike gloves
I'll
and a
tell you
visor,
what,
you're like, oh damn.
Nobody
Yeah,
does.
it is a fresh look.
Nobody does night games better than Happy Valley.
Yeah,
Oh,
no
yeah, yeah,
question.
no.
Without
No
question. The
Yeah.
whiteouts that they
You've
do
never
there.
been to a Golden Eagles game, my friend.
What's
we
this-
have dozens and dozens
I
of
was going
people
to ask
there.
what the stadium attendance is, what the capacity is. Go
Well,
ahead,
Jen
Mike.
Matthews is on the athletic board at USC, and she joins us now via the Gridiron
There we
guys.
go.
Good thing she's not on the tag board, or we couldn't see
You
her.
can trust, family owned since 2003. The Gridiron guys have grown to become Northeast Ohio's top-rated roofer. We exemplify quality work practices and are a valued
That was
resource
Lamar.
for homeowners
Unreleased
and
by
offer a
Jets.
10-year workmanship warranty. Call 330-573-7967 today for a free estimate or roof inspection.
Free estimate?
Grid, gridiron, guys.
So we're going to class the show up a lot. We're going to go from G. Bush biting his nails.
Yeah.
Jen Matthews, welcome to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. I told you guys. I told you. We just classed it up a whole bunch.
I was quite distracted there. by him,
Imagine.
biting his.
Yeah. My mom's going to lose
I
her
gotta
mind.
say to Jen Matthews, I mean, what's your problem? How come you haven't made it to the NFL like the entire rest of your family? What is going on here?
Slacker.
I mean, what happened?
I absolutely, you know what? I'm just a failure. No, okay. True story here. So my dad decides to take up mountain biking during COVID. So I go with him, and he is in phenomenal shape. Like, I don't know how many of you have seen him recently, but the guy is a freak of nature.
He is.
So he takes me out. It's 100 degrees, and this is his new hobby. So we're going. I honestly think I'm going to die. And he's like, it's mental toughness. Like, pain is weakness leaving your body. And
Good
I'm
Lord.
just like, Dad, no. I don't know what military quote this is. I want to die. And then we get to the top. I almost fall off my bike. And he says, he looks back and said, you would have never made it in the NFL. And I'm like, I wasn't trying.
What a chill dad.
So,
When your dad's Clay
Yeah.
Matthews, the bar is very, very high.
Yeah.
The bar is very. You know, Jen, I did see Clay. You were in a couple of years ago, and I had a chance to interview Pops. And the first thing I thought when he walked in, we did it at one of the suites at the stadium. He walked in, and the very first thing I thought was, are you kidding me right now? The guy, it was like when Joe Charbonneau was in.
Yeah.
It's the second we saw Joe Charbonneau, we're like, this guy is incredible, is in incredible shape. And your dad, does he work out 3 hours a day? How does he stay like that?
Big Clay. See, growing up, I called him Dad, but other people called him Big Clay and my brother Little Clay. No one is little in this family, but he trains now, I think 3 days a week. So when my brother Clay recently moved out of state, but when he was here, he would train with Clay and Casey, my brothers who are in the NFL. So he would do their entire off-season plan. And I'll have to send this video to you guys or post it, but it's a video of they finish their workout and they're doing push-ups and then they like give high fives, push-ups, high fives like to each other. And Clay was like, oh my gosh, it almost looks like Dad is outperforming me. I'm like, hey, that could be, but you know, it's he stays in shape. So he's kind of just a freak of nature. But really most about that interview. So he's talking about, you know, the Ring of Honor and really kind of how uncomfortable he is with all the attention. And he said, you know, my daughter's been spearheading this and she's a pit bull. And you chimed in and said, she is a lovely pit bull. And I'm sitting on the side of the room going, okay, I've never been called a pit bull. So that's kind of odd dad. I feel like I'm a pretty nice person, but I'm determined when it comes to that, so.
Jen, what comes to mind to me, and I have people tell me that I'm a homer and that I'm weighing into the fact that I'm a Browns fan, but how your dad isn't in the Hall of Fame, and I've had so many arguments with voters and writers, and I watched his entire career. And when you compare his numbers to the guys that are there, I think it's slam dunk. But I'm not even using that as my litmus test. I just watched him. I watched him impact games. And I think one of the things that I most love about all of the discussion around your dad ultimately not getting in, but every year when the campaign was on, I've never seen a daughter work harder for a dad than you did for your dad, Clay. And I have a daughter, and we have an incredibly special relationship. And it just really touched my heart to see how much work you put into that, how much it obviously shows your love of your father. And I still think it's just a swing and a miss that your dad is not in the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I agree. And this is how it started. Obviously, I've been accused of being biased because my dad off the field is the greatest human. He's humble and kind. He is such a good father, such a good husband. Like, he's just the greatest man. But so I obviously always thought he belonged in the Hall of Fame. And I watched him. I mean, he started playing before I was born, but he retired just before I turned 16. So I had a good chunk of time that I remember his body of work. But what I did was I'm like, I'm going to kind of dive in, look at all the stats, compare to current Hall of Famers, and see if maybe I am just biased. And as I began to kind of dive deep and look at the stats and compare them to current Hall of Famers who are stud players and ever so deserving, there's a reason they're in the Hall of Fame, I'm like, wait, his stats are comparable, if not better, than so many of them. And then I started talking to coaches and players, and I mean opposing players, opposing coaches, and I'm talking to Bill Kelly, Anthony Munoz, and everyone is saying it's crazy that he's not in the Hall of Fame. So the more I looked at it and the more I kind of dove into the stats, I thought, this is ridiculous. And I think what hurts my dad is the fact that he's a humble guy. He's not on social media. He will never promote himself. He's very uncomfortable with being in the spotlight, which that's one of the greatest things about him. And but I believe it will happen. And I'm thinking this year, guys, what do you think about my dad and Joe Thomas the same year? And Cleveland takes over Canton, and we just party all night.
Can you get that done?
That would be so cool. And I gotta say, Jen, I'm the only one on this panel that did not grow up a Browns fan. I grew up in New York, if you couldn't tell from my accent, right? And yet, but I followed the AFC North because, believe it or not, I grew up a Bengals fan in New York, which is a long story. Yeah. But bizarre. But I always loved watching your dad play when he would play against the Bengals or whatever. And there were a lot of Browns fans in New York where I grew up, a lot of older Browns fans. And so I always thought he was a Hall of Famer, and I'm not biased like the rest of the panel. You said you were worried about you being biased. I've always thought he was a Hall of Famer, even before I started working here. I just assumed he would go in the Hall of Fame. I've been surprised that he hasn't to this, and I can understand the frustration. How does he feel about it? You talk about him being so humble. Does it bother him? Are you more are you more upset about it than he is?
Yeah, no, that's a great question because there's 5 of us kids. I'm the only girl, and then I have 4 brothers. And I feel like we were more upset. I mean, I could tell he was disappointed. It would be a huge honor. But as he always tells me, Jennifer, my time in the league, like, I didn't do it for the awards or the accolades. I did it because I loved the game of football. And anything I accomplished, I did with the support of my teammates. I was standing on the shoulders of my teammates. So for me to receive an individual award, though it would be so, incredible, it's not like it doesn't define him, right? Right. But then again, like, even my brother Clay and I are texting the other night, and it's like midnight his time, and he's like, "This is so overdue. Like, how is he not in? I don't get it. Like, I modeled my play after him." Then I was talking to Troy Polamalu, who obviously was, first ballot guy, played years later. I went to college to USC with Troy, and he was saying, complimenting him and talking about his style of play and how he modeled so much of his game after him. And Bill Cowher, again, is saying, and remember, Bill Cowher was my dad's backup in Cleveland.
The note Bill wrote for your dad is incredible.
Isn't that awesome?
He's
such a great human being. I know there's no love for the Steelers in Cleveland, and I understand. But Bill Cowher, we got to remember he had some time with the Browns, and he was incredible. Like it was the first time I met him, and he said, your dad taught me things that I, as a coach used time and time again. And, my dad's humble response is, he's probably just mixing me up with someone else. And I'm pretty sure he knew who he was talking about.
Yeah.
Jennifer, your dad wrecked a lot of game plans. Your brothers wrecked a lot of game plans defensively. Can you tell us, have they wrecked your love life at one point in time? Because
great question.
Because I'm not coming there. I'm not showing up at your house.
I should have known. Okay, so I just recently got engaged, and probably the reason that
congratulations.
Probably the reason that it took so long was if I was going to date you, you had to get through my 4 brothers, my father, and my Uncle Bruce, right? So not intimidating at all. I'm like, you will show up. My dad's old school. You will shake his hand. You will have me home on time. I mean, I'm a grown adult, and that's how it went. So it kind of weeded out like the people who weren't going to make it. They're like, what? I'm like,
cold the herd,
nope.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But luckily, they love my fiance, and the boys do too. And I remember going, oh my gosh, I'm going to start with one brother at a time.
Yep.
I'll probably wait for my brother to go last. He's probably the toughest. Okay, I'll start with Casey. He's usually more easy, but that is a very good question.
That is a great question.
That's funny.
Someone finally got through the gauntlet.
Yeah.
Shout out to your fiance. You're a good dude. You're a strong guy. And you better be in shape too.
Quick follow.
Gotta be in shape. You ready to go.
To hang in this family, you got to be.
Yeah, you are.
Take you on a
What are
mountain
your
bike ride,
Yahtzee
leave you to
games
die.
like? I just imagine like the whole family sitting around a table playing Yahtzee, and somehow or another things get thrown.
So tense.
It's got to be intense.
Okay, because everything is a competition, right?
Sure.
Like sometimes people will laugh, and I'm like, this family isn't any bit competitive. Like I roll. You know what? I think actually there's a story that, I was too young to remember it, but the night before my Uncle Bruce got married, or 2 days before, my dad and him were playing a one-on-one, like basketball in my parents' backyard, and Bruce somehow ended up with like a black eye, and my aunt was like, I am going to kill you. What are you doing? We're getting married. And so we had to like cover it on up. And, even growing up, I'm the only girl, and it'd be like, hey, want to play horse? And it's like, sure. And it's not, they didn't take it easy on me. I'm like the only girl. I'm like getting elbowed and boxed out. And I'm like, at a certain age, I had to be like, all right, guys, you're at a different level strength-wise now. Like, we can't be like, you can't be knocking me out. Like, I can play, but don't, take it easy when you're boxing me out, under the hoop.
I have another, probably a bit of an odd question, but has anybody ever approached you or your family about purchasing your DNA and trying to create their own army of super football?
That's a great question.
I've got to believe maybe somebody did.
That's crazy.
Man. With the cost of gas out here in Los Angeles, I should have really thought about that.
Yeah, that would make some loot.
People used to joke in college. I think it was like a newer thing, and they would advertise. It was the strangest thing. It was the USC paper was called the Daily Trojan, and it would be like, sell your eggs and pay your tuition. I remember thinking,
yeah.
There's people like, are you kidding me? You have 8 NFL players in your family,
right.
And I was like, I don't know about that. I
just
I'm
never
just
trust.
thankful I didn't. Yeah, I'm just thankful I didn't come out like 6'5", 400
yes,
pounds.
That is a blessing. But never use a glass around Jerry Jones and leave it unattended on a table. Because he will take that.
You ain't nothing.
Just so you know.
You ain't nothing.
Yeah, right?
Speaking of Jerry Jones, so I'm at the Hall of Fame luncheon before the Super Bowl in Miami a few years ago. And I had never met Jerry, and I walk up, and I'm friends with Jim Fossil, who he had hired as a special teams coach, and I walk up to introduce myself. I said, hello, Mr. Jones. My name's Jennifer Matthews. I'm part of the Matthews family. I said, and I want to tell you, you got a heck of a special teams coach. Like, I'm like selling my friend here. I'm like, he's an amazing hire. We're going to do a football camp with you and serve inner city kids. And my friend was like, "Who are you?" Telling Jerry Jones, "You guys are going to do a community outreach project." And I told Coach Fossil later, we call him Bones. I said, "Bones, you can pay me later because I put in a good, a word with the big man." But he, in his Southern accents, he said something like, "Well, you must be the Bryans and the beauty of the Matthews family," And I'm like, "Well,
such a Texas.
I don't have much competition over here. I don't know how pretty these boys are."
Hey, Jennifer, we were right before you came on. Mikey McNuggets, our producer, did a top 5 list of college football helmets. You mentioned that you're a Trojan alum. He did have them in the top 5 of football helmets, but he did not have Notre Dame on the top 5. Now, I hate Notre Dame, but I think it's a top 5 helmet. So what do you think? What do you think about Notre Dame not being in the top 5?
And it's a conflict of interest.
It is.
Because I, as a USC fan, I'm like born and bred to hate Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Listen, there is a lot of tradition. I'll give them that. Let me take my bias out. They do have the cool helmets. You got to think of Rudy, and there's nothing like being in South Bend, Indiana on a good fall day when the skies are blue and the leaves have turned and Touchdown Jesus is there, and then they come out. I don't like their music. And that's about where my appreciation ends.
It ends.
I know. How does everyone feel about, my Trojans and that other team across LA, the lowly Bruins joining the Big Ten? I don't feel like we're getting much love.
I think people are so used to at this point the conferences changing and blowing up. I mean, I think, it's all about money, right? It's to get the LA market with those 2 schools. What do you think about it as a Pac-12 alum?
Yeah, you know what? It's interesting, too. I'm on the board of directors for the athletic department at SC, and we were in a meeting. Here's my thought. The traditional side of me, it makes me a little bit sad. I grew up with the Pac-10, which became the Pac-12, when my parents, who met their college sweethearts from USC, it was the Pac-8. So there's a part of me that is sad about that, but I also understand it's a business. And at the end of the day, it's about money and it's about TV rights. And, on the West Coast, a lot of people have argued, like, look, we don't get primetime games. We don't get as many Heisman players because these games are on at 7 p.m. Pacific. So on the East Coast, that's 10 o'clock. And really, it's a business. And with NIL and all of that, it's changed the game. And I think there's just going to be a few mega conferences. But I'm like, what is this, the Big 16 now? Like, are they going to
That's it. Jen, how the hell did you guys keep that under wraps?
I wasn't privy to that information even before, but I will say that, Mike Bone and obviously Lincoln Riley and then Brandon Sosna, who left to go work with the Lions, they did a good job. That was Sosna, he's a stud, but I don't know how familiar you are with him, but young guy, he helped, recruit Lincoln Riley. They did a good job because it leaked that morning and 6 hours later, it was released. So that was pretty impressive in today's day and age. I was shocked that didn't get out.
Because bombshell stories like that don't just develop. That thing had been in the works for a long time, and the fact that nobody leaked it is just, it's astonishing, really.
Huge. You're like, what was threatened? No. You will disappear if...
I'm looking forward to that USC Northwestern rivalry developing.
Right.
That's going to be a doozy.
Yeah.
Our Trojans are going to have a lot of travel on their. They're going to be, racking up some frequent flyer miles.
You aren't kidding.
Does it make me like a 10-year-old that I still giggle every time I hear Trojans?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Come on.
Right. Because of the
we all giggle.
Because it's also a prophylactic.
Right. I mean, it's funny.
Yes.
Thank you for crying out.
No problem.
By the way,
you would not believe the shirts that are made. I won't go into it.
I've seen some good ones.
That's the lady. But you would not believe between SC and you said some of the shirts and the thing. I mean, I won't. I'll leave that up to you to look at that. But I got to say, you guys have to be the most interesting cast. I mean, it's like fun facts about all of you. I'm like, okay, so someone does makeup. Like
G-Bush.
Some of you don't believe you're wearing shoes on, or like socks. It's like the no sock look on the end. That's like,
that's Jay.
That's Jay.
No sock
That's
look.
Jay.
Jen, I don't wear socks.
I don't understand how he gets that off.
It's a personal preference.
He's a boss and he can do what he wants. I appreciate
G-Bush
that.
does makeup, which is just absolutely incredible.
Well, listen,
I
got into it because I wanted to get my lighting good on my YouTube videos. And so makeup artists have the best lighting. And so there was this guy who was just, hanging around. And I always say the guy looked like Mike Polk. After the makeup job, he looked just like a hot girl. I was like, this is crazy. This is about to work. And so I learned to do makeup tutorials.
It looks great.
Are you saying Mike would be a hot girl?
Yeah, he's a little too tall for my liking.
I understand.
I think we should do a show where you make him up and see how hot you can make him.
Probably be excited about that.
I can do that.
The beard has to go.
I'm not above it.
I'll bring my ring light.
Yeah, we appreciate the analysis of our look in our show, though. We've really tried to create an aesthetic here that's pleasing to the eye. Do you like it?
I do. And I've really got to see him make you up. Good palate you're striking with, good bone structure. I'm waiting to see what he can do. And I'm trying to, when I'm back in town and I come to the set, I want to see him work some.
Let's do it.
Please come in.
Yes.
Please come and watch.
It will
him
be
give
our
me a
highest
makeover.
rated show. I will even bring my cape. I'll bring I'll even break out my good makeup. I'll break out the MAC. Break my good stuff out.
You're next level. You don't mess around. This is not amateur out here.
Jen, would you mind if I used the fact that you complimented my bone structure on my resume moving forward? I appreciate that.
Jen Matthews once said, I have great bone structure.
Yes. Thanks. That means a lot.
Jen, I want to go back to the Hall of Fame deal for a second because I know your dad can't be on the writer's ballot anymore. What is the path for Clay to Canton? How does that happen now?
So now, as of last year, he went to the senior category. Now, the great thing about this is, so the Hall of Fame got a new president, and their board met and voted and decided that for the next 3 years, for 23, 24, and 25, that instead of one senior per year being inducted, they would do 3 per year. So over the next 3 years, there will be 9 seniors as opposed to 3.
Wow.
And part of the reason they did that is there's such this huge backlog of deserving players that are kind of just sitting there. And now, when guys are retiring and they're more in the limelight, they're kind of getting more of the attention. Mm-hmm. So my dad now is part of the senior, category. And they just released the 25. It'll then be voted down to, I believe, 12 or 15, July 27th, I believe it is. And then in August, they can decide on 3. And those 3 need to get 80% of the vote of the senior committee. So it's a different, it's not,
Baseball
if you're a modern era candidate, it's, all of the voters from the different media markets. And then there are a few at-large voters. Okay. And then, like, for instance, Cleveland obviously has 2 with Mary Kay Cabot and Tony Grossi. Other markets have 2. So this is a smaller group of voters that votes on that. And then obviously the contributor, that's a separate thing. So we'll see. I will keep plugging away until it happens. And it will happen. And we're going to take over Canton. And here's the cool thing. Browns fans are the best. I'm not just saying that. I live in Los Angeles. I've lived and traveled all over. I've been to every NFL stadium. I've been around football my whole life. Browns fans have a knowledge of the game that is second to none, and they're loyal. So when my uncle was inducted in 2007, I believe it was, here we are in Canton, and I looked around, and there were so many 57 jerseys. It was incredible. And when my uncle, he spent I swear 7 minutes of his speech talking about my dad, and my dad is just sweating bullets. And I was there next to him. He goes, "Well, stop talking about me and my brother." He's hitting me going, "Oh, I hope he's stuck." And the camera's on my dad, and there's 57 jerseys everywhere. And my Uncle Bruce afterwards came up and he's like, "Jennifer, imagine when your dad gets in. Can you imagine this place?
Gotta happen.
In Canton, or when Joe Thomas gets in, which he will this year. He, another one of my favorite Browns. So that we'll see. I mean, he's in the senior category. And my hope and prayer is this year, but I'll keep plugging away and working and doing everything I can until he's inducted.
Jennifer, you've obviously worked in the media. You mentioned the local voters here. Have you ever gotten any feedback from the writers on why? What was the issue? Why did they never elect him?
Yeah. You know what? Most of the people I've talked to are like, he's deserving, right? And then he's been a semifinalist, 4 years. And I'm like, what's the deal here? And the only thing that kept coming up was there's this magic number of 100 sacks that as a linebacker or a pass rusher, they want you to be at 100. But the silly thing about this is that, number one, my dad was drafted in 78, right? 12th overall pick, first round, same year that Ozzie was drafted, like amazing draft for the Browns. For his first 5 seasons, sacks weren't even counted as an official stat.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Which is nuts, right?
Yeah.
And then he, at that point, they didn't have he wasn't really a pass rusher until the latter part of his career. Like every once in a while he would. And he would, like, given his, like, if it was up to him, he would have lined up it kind of like a DN, like my brother did, and just pass rushed. But I always say he was the consummate team player. So he was often dropping back into coverage. Like, he did it all. And that's what, when I talked to, like, opposing, like, O-linemen, they were like, we kind of had to develop our game plan around him because he was all over the place. And we didn't know what he was going to do. So when you add in, so I went back and I looked at the stats because the team kept the sacks as a stat before the league declared them as an official stat in 83. And so that took him up to 83.5. And again, I'm kind of like, it's weird that certain numbers are that's the only thing I could think of. But honestly, in my opinion, what's really hurt him is that he's a quiet guy. And when he retired, he went completely out of the limelight because he never liked that anyways. He said, I just went to raising 5 kids. Like, I had no time to sit around and think about football or feel sorry for myself or miss it. He goes, because I had 5 kids at home to take care of. So he kind of went into coaching and, just did his thing. And we never really thought about it, and so, but he has so many records, if you look at it, most games played by an NFL linebacker of all time, most sacks by a Browns player. Now, Myles Garrett's coming up on him, which is
good
such
company.
a stud.
Yeah.
I know. When I'm thinking about the defense, I'm like, Myles Garrett, Jadeveon Clowney, and I'm looking at like Greedy Williams. I'm looking at this going, I like this. We can get after the quarterback, which is what I like to see. Let's just pass rush.
There's really no good reason, by the way. Sorry to cut you off.
No,
There's literally no good reason not to have him in. I think she would know better. Genevieve, you would know better than anybody. I think what you just pointed out about your dad pulling himself out of the limelight, I think that's the number one reason. Some players get more hype after their career. There's no stats or there's nothing you could point to that says, oh, he's not a Hall of Famer because of this. There's really nothing. It doesn't make any sense. And all you need to know, you mentioned Anthony Munoz. I've heard Anthony Munoz talk about your dad before. In my opinion, Anthony Munoz is the greatest offensive lineman ever. If you get an endorsement from him, that's all I need to hear. If Anthony Munoz says you're a Hall of Famer, you're a Hall of Famer in my book. I think it's pretty simple. It'll get right. I hope it'll get right sooner rather than later, so your whole family can appreciate it. But it's a disgrace.
And I'm thinking big. Like I'm a dreamer, so I'm going, let's have like the Rolling Stones at the after party. Like, who am I? I don't know that person. This background band, I'm like, this is going to be the party of all parties because my dad has waited, and I'm going to use every connection I have to make this a pretty dang fun party.
You know who else needs to play there? Because I just did this math, and I think if you put it in Rock and Roll Hall of Fame snubs in that territory, like for a comparison's sake, your dad is Judas Priest. Judas Priest should have been on the Rock Hall 25 years ago. They're amazing. They are an important part of metal history. They're not in because of prejudices against metal.
Yeah,
no doubt.
Yeah.
They should be in there, and it's a shame they're not. And when you have your celebration, Judas Priest should play there. One more thing. My parents have been season ticket holders. They gave up at some point. But they were when I was a kid. And the 2 jerseys they still have, my dad wears a Gene Hickerson jersey. And my mom wears Clay Matthews, just so you know. So that's the regard that they hold you.
I feel like we'd be kindred spirits.
I think you'd love Peggy Polk.
The year that my uncle was. So what he said about that was they had waited so long. He was so much older, but what an incredible player. When you look back at the history, and like I got to meet Jim Brown when I was there for the Ring of Honor, and I was sitting there. It was so surreal. We're on the practice field at the Browns facility, and my dad had never met him, believe it or not. So I'm there with my dad and Jim, and they're exchanging stories. And I had this like moment where I just was like, soak this up because this doesn't happen for everyone. Like,
it's a weird upbringing they've had.
And they're talking about the Browns and just different plays and watching each other. And, my dad saying how much he had looked up to him as a player, like when he was a kid. And those are the moments where I'm like, man, this life is so cool. It's so
It's good that you appreciate it.
Well, Jim,
I don't take a second of it for granted.
I hope you're ready because when he gets in, I have a sneaking suspicion. I don't know, it's just an intuition. I think you are going to give the induction speech. So how would that
pressure.
feel to be able to do that? And you've been working so hard for the last few years trying to get him in.
You know what's funny? I haven't even thought of that because I guess I'm just still like in the stage of like the time I do invest in things around the Hall of Fame or just in creating awareness for his campaign. I mean, obviously it would be an honor of a lifetime, and I don't know if I could possibly do him justice. I mean, I probably wouldn't make it through without crying because I respect him. Like, he's my hero. He's the person I model my life after, and just the way he approached the game. I've even been able to take a lot of those lessons and habits into my career and really apply them, and I feel like it's allowed me to excel and also, you know, just being inspired by the type of human he is. He's a man of integrity and humility, and he's very selfless, and he serves others, and he's fun. Like my dad snowboards. Like we were in Colorado 2 years ago, and he's like blowing past us. I'm on my skis, like, you know, on the beginner slope, and he comes down the other, like, and I'm like, what 65-year-old man snowboards? And you know, he's fun. He's high energy. He likes to drive a '67 Chevy Camaro around. Like, he loves classic cars, and he's just fun. He's the greatest.
I like that our dads are about the same age, and I have to help him get out of a chair.
You have to help me get out.
What you mean? Me too.
Well, I hope I don't have to help. I wouldn't be able to move my father. I don't know.
You gotta work on some squats.
Gotta do something. I better get in the gym quick and get on some sort of workout.
He really is like a movie character.
Yes.
He's bigger than life. He's a quiet guy. I was surprised when I met him that he really is a man of few words, hates to talk about himself. And I hope, Jen, that your father has to make the difficult decision as to who would be his presenter in Canton, Ohio. I'll be there. Half of Cleveland will be there, and you're right. It would be a Cleveland takeover of Canton and the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Jen, thank you so much for making time with us, and we're going to hold you to that. When you're in Cleveland, you must.
So fun.
Yeah, listen, that's our whole objective is to laugh and have fun talking about sports. Why not?
I love it.
Jen, when you're in Cleveland, let us know, and we'd love to have you in studio, okay?
I will be there. You guys are too fun. I'll come on anytime you want.
And you have to promise us that when Dad gets the rubber stamp to go into Canton, that you bring Dad by the studio too, because we would love to have him in as well.
You bet. You
All
bet.
right, Jen.
Thanks, Jen.
All right.
Congrats and congratulations.
The
Bye.
prettiest Matthews of the bunch. Although Mom is very pretty too. It's a dead heat. It's a tie. Jen Matthews, and it really is crazy. If you want to look at the actual comparison to Clay and the other Hall of Famers at linebacker, go to her Twitter feed. She's made professional-style graphics where she has compared his stats to the all-time greats at that position. And one that jumps out to me was Junior Seau. Junior was no doubt absolute Hall of Famer.
Right.
And also a USC guy. But when you look at the stats side by side with Junior Seau, they're remarkably similar.
Yeah.
They're remarkably similar.
You know what I don't get about the Pro Football Hall of Fame? The one thing baseball does better than football, even though it doesn't really factor in as much in baseball because it never gets this number. In baseball, there's no limit to how many guys can make it in every year.
I agree with you on
Why
that.
do they have an arbitrary limit? In football, there are so many players in so many positions.
Yeah.
It's stupid. I think it's good. She was bringing up the point that now there's on the Veterans Committee or whatever she was calling senior. There's 3 instead of 1. But why would you have any cap? If a guy's worthy, he's worthy.
Yeah.
Shouldn't be a certain amount of guys.
I don't even think writers should be able to vote for it, to be honest with you.
I don't agree with that personally.
Nah.
Well, who would be better qualified?
GMs, players, coaches.
I don't know. I don't think they study it as well as writers do in a lot of
They don't,
cases.
and they have agendas, and they vote for their buddies.
Well,
and they don't.
the media has agendas too.
Yeah, but for the most part, I do think that they try and take it. First of all, if you have a vote, it's because you've been doing this a really long time, and you are at the top of your craft. They're not giving. I don't have a vote.
In baseball, the writers do them. Look at some of the the ones that the players have put in.
Some
Harold
twit,
Baines.
some twit left Derek Jeter and Mariano Rivera.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
there's always going to be. I think Rivera actually got every one.
No, I don't think so.
No, I don't think it's ever been.
No,
I thought Rivera was the first one.
It's never been unanimous?
I don't believe so.
I agree, Jay. There's a few knuckleheads in the
They
bunch.
left
but look at
T.O.
what the players did. They put Harold Baines in the Hall of Fame. He's not a Hall of Famer.
There's always a couple of idiots, but
Yeah.
for the most part, they really don't get it wrong. Like
T.O. is
baseball.
not a Hall of Fame. T.O. is the first. He's the second greatest receiver of all time. T.O. is not a first ballot Hall of Famer. That's crazy. Because he did sit-ups in the parking lot.
No, he'll get in though.
I mean, he did
No,
crazy.
he's in.
He's in,
Yeah,
but
he goes in, he got it. Right, yeah.
He skipped the ceremony.
Yeah.
Right.
because he was a second ballot Hall
That's
of
so
Fame.
stupid. What's the difference?
No.
Agreed. He should have
Yeah.
been first, G. But in the end, he got in. There's always going to be. I don't like the way they do it. I think they should do it like baseball and vote
Yeah,
the same way.
when you put a cap on
It doesn't make any
something,
sense.
It's look, if there are 10 players, because it's by years, and then you
Yeah.
fall off the ballot.
Right.
If
How
there
long
are
has it been like that? Has
I
it
think it's always been like that.
And how much is the
Mike
league?
Douglas is
And how
talking
much
to me
is
in
the
my ear.
league expanded?
What do you got, buddy?
Well, Mariano Rivera was unanimous for the
was
vote.
unanimous.
Told ya.
unanimous.
I thought
Derek Jeter missed by one vote.
Right.
I knew Jeter.
But Mariano was a unanimous selection confirmed by Google.
Okay.
I double-checked.
I would take the vote away from the guy that didn't put Jeter in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, some people have their own
I just
stupid-
don't think you're,
Hey, we
you're
have-
qualified to
we
vote.
have
I would
one-
agree with that.
He got to go. Yeah,
We
he
have
gotta go.
one local writer who screws up the ballot every time. I'm not going to say who it is, but he makes ridiculous picks on
Right.
his ballot. And with baseball it's a little trickier because of the steroids and whatever people vote. But generally, outside of the steroid guys, I think the baseball writers get it right way more often than they get it wrong.
Why can't they have a mix of it? Just mix the vote.
Fine, but I don't think you want
Well,
all
you know
players
what?
because in baseball, when it's just the players groups, they're more often wrong
But
than the
do Hall of Famers get votes?
in baseball.
Yeah,
They're
or
part of the
football.
seniors committee.
Okay.
I don't know about in football. I don't know.
Because obviously, when you win the Heisman, you get a vote.
Right.
All the former Heisman
Right,
Trophy
right.
winners get a vote, and then it's.
But there's
largely
so
the
many
media.
votes. The Heisman voting is a joke too.
I had a Heisman vote for 15 years, and I covered college football for 10.
Yeah, the Heisman vote's a total.
Did you
joke.
give it to Johnny Manziel?
I did.
Tell us.
I don't know if I had a vote that year.
Did you vote for Baker?
I'd ignore it or
Did you vote
repress
for
it.
Baker?
I got rid of the vote by then. By the time he
you
came
got
up,
That's
I
too
got rid of
bad.
it.
So you want to go to?
Where do you
Home
go to
run derby?
Guardians? Yeah, but first, before we start the Jose Ramirez in the Derby contest, let's remind you about another contest going on right now. Our Guardians giveaway contest.
This is
if
huge.
you want to win a 4-pack of
Huge.
tickets plus some autographed swag and player memorabilia, head over to wkyc.com/contest. Enter. We already have over 1,200 submissions for this.
Nice.
That seems like a big number. 1,200 is a lot. We're giving away a first place prize is 4 tickets plus the extra swag. Second and third place just get 4 tickets. Just 4 tickets, yeah. That's not a bad second
Yeah,
and
take
third
it.
place prize.
Take it.
To the game against the Astros on Sunday, August 5th. So make sure you guys
The
continue.
little barcode down there on the left, does that take you directly to the page for?
The QR code, it
Yeah,
takes
the
us to our
QR code.
YouTube page.
Oh, that takes you to the YouTube.
We only
page.
have one QR code available at the moment, so
Oh, okay.
we're working on it. Also,
Well, let's
Tagboard's
get
back
Tagboard-
up.
Tagboard is up.
It was a
We got
system-wide
it back?
Tagboard shutdown.
You know,
System-wide.
it's too bad that Tagboard was down during Jen's interview because it would have been fun to go to her Twitter page.
We had tweets ready to pull.
to see.
We-
Oh, good.
We actually did.
Yeah, because there are
of course.
so many good comparisons. She's posted letters from Bill Belichick.
Yeah.
The one that really stood out to me was the one from Cowher. Like Bill
Right,
Cowher
right, yeah.
is this,
Yeah.
respected voice in the sport.
Yeah.
And when you read that, you're like, okay, whoever he's talking about needs to be in. He talked about him in such glowing terms.
We got the tag board back.
I need wives and daughters to support. That's crazy support.
Yeah, that's right.
Look,
You
I
aren't
see out
kidding.
here listen, when I get into the Cleveland Hall of Fame, I need you to be writing all kind
There
of
you go.
letters. I'm telling my girl right now, get it together.
She does it, man.
I have 2 sisters. They wouldn't co-sign on a loan with me.
Mikey,
way.
so what do we got here? So we did the giveaway.
Yeah, let's talk about Jose Ramirez and the home run derby
That's right.
here.
Is home run derby still a thing?
No.
Like the slam dunk contest jumped the shark
I hate this.
years ago.
I hate it. I'm sick of the home run derby. They don't do it right. I mean,
Didn't Jose do it a couple years ago?
yeah,
and
he didn't
really,
do well.
like,
He's not really a home run derby. Like Pete Alonso is great at the home run
He
derby.
is built for it.
I have, Pujols. I think it's weird that Pujols and
That's a sentimental.
He has
Miguel,
6 home
well,
runs this
Pujols
year, by
and
the
Miguel
way.
Cabrera got into the whole All-Star game, which I'm fine with, but they didn't add extra spots for them, which doesn't make sense. Why would you waste spots on guys who haven't earned it this year? It's weird. By the way, I know probably you guys hate him, But you got to admit, Kyle Schwarber will be a fun guy to watch in a home run derby.
Absolutely, no doubt.
He's the type of guy
But
you
you're
want
right.
to watch.
We all hate him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Joe Buck loves him.
Oh, my God.
Joe
You know
Buck
better
loves
than
him.
that, Jay. You know better.
Joe Buck
than that.
loves him.
You know, but
I'm just
Joe Buck
saying.
hates the Cubs.
No.
He grew up a Cardinals
They
fan.
need to mix up the home run derby. I think that's the problem. Just change the rules. Do something
boring.
weird.
It takes
Just
too long.
So, like,
Okay, so
no
let's
one's
fix
married
it right
to
here. How do you fix it?
It
is what it is.
Add some obstacles. Add some different kinds of goals, like out in the outfield. Maybe they're trying to, if you get it in a certain section, then
No.
I just think it's got to be
2 for 1 if you
I
go
think it's too
oppo.
long, guys.
Like, why do we have a reverence for the rules of it right
Yeah,
now?
it's
When
3
everyone
hours.
hates it, we agree it's stupid.
10 pitches. That's it. You get 10 pitches.
You know what? This just goes.
They
to
gotta
show-
fill time on
This
TV,
just goes to
I
show
know.
you that it ain't even really about the home run derby. It's about the level of your players, dog. When Griffey and Big Hurt and Fred McGriff and all these dudes was in it,
Right.
we was watching every single swing.
Yeah, but the best power hitters are in this.
He's saying they used to be a
the
lot
best
better.
power hitters now.
Yeah.
No one knows who your best power hitters are.
Right.
Well, I
But-
think everybody knows Aaron
well,
Judge.
well, they know who Aaron Judge is. Is he in it?
Judge is in it.
So
Yeah. Right, Mikey? Do you have a
No,
list?
Judge is not.
I
in.
don't think
Judge
he's
is
in it
not
this
in.
year.
I thought Judge said he was going to do it.
That was a previous winners
That
list.
was
Judge was
2017.
on.
No. I thought I had read that Judge was going to do the home run derby. I didn't know that he had.
I'll
still
double
one
check,
open
but no,
spot,
I don't
but
believe he's in
It's
it,
like the
no.
dunk contest. Even the
Yeah.
ones you want to see do it are like, I don't
I
want to
ain't
tweak
doing it.
anything.
Yeah. I
So
wanna
here's
do it.
Harold Miner again.
No, they have better home run. No, generally the best home run hitters still do it for the most part. And Pete Alonso is one of the best home run hitters. in
Ramirez is
baseball.
not a home run hitter.
Yes, he is.
He's not one of the best home run hitters.
Yeah, he is.
How many he got?
I don't know, 17, 18.
Oh, come on, man.
I don't
I
remember off
need
the top
to
of my
come
head.
back.
But this
He
is
has
reason why-
17. He ranks 23rd. Look at the stat graphic.
He's won
our
the
stats
last
graphic
2.
pulled up. Yeah.
Alonso has.
20,
Yeah, but Alonso, Kyle Schwarber's top 5 in home runs. Alonso's top 5 in home runs, right?
You know,
I mean,
you look at Ramirez. He's a 17 homers. He had 16 homers like on
yeah,
May
he
1st.
hasn't. He's at 1 in the last month.
He's
been
just
cold.
been.
What if they all
absolutely-
had to eat? They all had to drink 6 beers before they did it,
Now I'll watch.
I'm in.
Yeah.
Love
right?
it.
Something like that.
Every round,
spin around
every
on the
round
back.
you drink
You
another
make it to the
6-pack.
next
No,
round, you
every
gotta
time you
drink-
don't hit a home run, you throw back a shot.
Yeah,
Right.
something like that. And we add Nickelodeon slime.
And there's a sponsor, Nickelodeon.
There you go,
Very
Nickelodeon slime.
creative thinking.
It just drops on you.
Might
If
just
you-
improve this
If
a
you don't
million
get,
times.
if you don't get like, if you miss 3 in a row, then you get slimed like on Nickelodeon. Now, see, but now people are watching. Wouldn't you watch that?
I'd probably watch that.
Yeah.
Of
come
the
on.
top
watch
5 MLB home run leaders right now, how many do you think are participating in Monday night's home run
I'd
derby?
say 1.
Zero.
3.
0.
1. Kyle Schwarber. That is it.
Oh, Alonso's not in the top 5, huh?
Alonso is not top 5.
He's near the top 5.
He's gotta be
though.
close.
He's probably
in the
10.
top 10, let's pull up the list. Alonso is tied for 6th.
Yeah.
All right, that's close.
But still, of the top 5, Schwarber is the only one. Judge leads the league, not participating. Alvarez in Houston, 3rd, not participating. Austin Riley, not participating. Mike Trout, not participating.
But
Stanton,
wait a
not
second.
participating.
Trout is banged up right now, and so is Alvarez. They're both banged up.
I'm just reading the list of the
Yeah.
top 10 guys. I'm not
G. Bush
arguing
makes a
for that.
great point, though. I just remember, and maybe it's because I was younger and I'm
Yeah.
probably a bigger fan at the time, but man, when Griff was doing the home run derby, that was like
Baseball
when
was bigger
Jordan
then.
did the slam dunk
Baseball
contest.
was bigger then.
Well-
This goes to the bigger issue of
Bonds,
baseball and
Sosa,
not
McGuire.
marketing its
No,
stars.
you're absolutely right. It does. Where are the charismatic superstars?
Not chemically enhanced anymore.
Yeah, I mean, Judge is really the big name in baseball.
He's
And what a
boring.
personality.
He's kind of a slug.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
Like Griffey, and Griffey really wasn't a media star.
No.
But he put his hat on backwards and it was like putting a cape on.
And
He was cool.
And it
Griffey
wasn't.
was cool.
Yeah, he was cool, and it wasn't uncomfortable to watch him smile, unlike Aaron
They even
Judge.
had nicknames. Y'all don't even got nicknames no more.
Right.
The Kid, Big Hurt, Crime Dog.
Mm-hmm.
Come on now.
Now, wait a second. Fred McGriff, I like Fred McGriff. He don't belong in the category with these other guys.
Fred
McGriff
McGriff
had
hit
like
a butt.
600
Fred
career
McGriff's not even a Hall of
runs.
Famer.
Fred McGriff had a
He
bunch
had a
of
bunch of home runs.
Neither is
bro.
Clay
He hit
Matthews.
500.
And he should be.
He's very
close,
close.
though.
He had over 500 for sure.
very
No, he didn't.
close.
He'd
Fred
be in the
McGriff?
Hall of Fame if he had
Manny
500.
Ramirez.
How many home runs did Fred McGriff have?
I think he's got like 480, 490, something
Big
like
Pop,
that. He's just
Big
short.
Poppy. I can't even. If you ain't got a nickname, you just a regular dude.
Aaron Judge is a much,
493.
Aaron Judge
493
is a
from
bigger
McGriff.
star now than Fred McGriff was then.
Bob,
It's
he's
just
playing in New
baseball's
York.
not
so
as popular.
He's big in New York, but
but not here.
you guys missed the point. It's the sport. It's not because of Fred McGriff. It's because the sport was much more popular then than it is now. That's what it's about.
How'd it fall off? Because they keep doing the same thing, sticking to their guns too much, freaking out over any changes because the old guys who are trying to keep score in the stands are like, I want it to be like it was when I was a show.
Have you seen those commercials? They're so awful.
Yeah,
I wish
Big Hurt stopped doing them.
Yeah.
Like, when I watch them, I always ask, like, when I see Brett Favre doing the commercials for the copper bands,
right.
I'm like, do these guys need dough?
With Jerry Rice, too. Here's
how you bring it back. Here's how you bring it back. I mean, this is very easy. Me and Jay was in there lifting weights the other day. It's about a week or so ago. And just quick name drop. What they should do is if they want to have some real fun, hand these dudes some metal bats.
You'll kill somebody.
Yeah,
No.
That's part of the sport.
Listen,
Don't sit out there.
Now you got Squid Games.
No, we don't. No, for home run derby. It's just a picture. He's in front of the cage.
Hey, you know what I'd
got
watch?
the kids in the outfield shaking flies. They'll get killed.
You know what I'd watch? An old timers home run derby.
No.
Those
Bring
were fun.
back McGuire and Sosa. I'd watch those guys take 30 swings.
I'll watch it and give them a medal bat.
I'll tell you
No,
this.
you can't give a medal. I saw high school kids in Cleveland with medal bats.
So somebody would die.
High school kids.
But
Somebody will die, but that's okay.
They're not
There's
gonna.
insurance.
I don't think they're going to hit any of the people that's in the field. These balls are going to be hitting scoreboards.
They'll go to the moon, yeah.
Like they're not hitting
They're
nobody.
going to be hitting people sitting in the stand.
Yeah, I
Is
wanna
it
see
going
them
that
use wood
fast?
bats.
That makes it so much more entertaining,
want-
though, if
I
there's
want
the element of danger.
Yeah. No one's safe.
I mean,
There will be blood.
Make Trevor Bauer pitch.
If you're
Hey,
in the
good bet
stands,
that morning, the over-under number
That's
of
his
deaths at
punishment.
the home run
if you're
derby.
in the stands and you get hit by a baseball 500 feet away and you don't move, what's wrong with you?
We
That's a
shaved
good point.
3
Metal bats, no protection. Trevor Bauer
We shaved
pitches,
3
and
months.
if he lives, he's suspension.
We shaved 3 months off of the suspension if he lives.
Okay, this is absurd. We're not going to use
We
metal
want Trevor
bats.
Bauer to die?
Training camp hasn't
That's not
started
absurd.
yet, Jay. We got to
Yeah,
talk.
you're right. We
We
gotta
just
do
talked
that.
about college
Okay,
football
so wait a
helmets
minute.
for half an
Let me
hour.
ask this question.
Yeah.
You saw the participants in the home run derby.
Yeah.
Tell me that the ratings wouldn't be higher
Yeah.
if on an opposing channel you had Mark McGuire, Sammy Sosa, Barry Bonds,
Manny Ramirez.
Ramirez.
Albert
Still
Bell.
have Albert Pujols.
You got to, but the
Andrew
problem
drug
is,
You can
dealer.
play both.
this would have been a great plan 5 months ago. They don't have time to juice up now. This thing's like in 2 weeks.
They said
I
Andrew
would,
drug dealer.
I would
Right?
enjoy
Drug
watching
dealer.
that. Yes.
I've played in a number of MLB alumni All-Star games, and I've watched old timers, and I'm talking guys in their 50s. Take batting practice before
Yeah.
games
Yeah.
and rope them out like it's nothing.
The Yankees used to have an. I don't know if they still do.
They used to play an old-timers
game.
game.
All the time is always great.
Yeah, the Indians, I think, used to do an old-timers game, too.
I'm trying to see light-skinned Sammy Sosa hit home runs.
Let's go. Let's go. Maybe Michael
Light-skinned
Jackson.
Sosa.
Maybe Michael Jackson can feel the ball.
You
I
need
don't
a time
know.
machine,
Oh, he's
I
dead. I forgot.
Man, boy, I tell you what, they won't even. They say, Dad, who's that guy?
That ain't Sammy
That ain't
Sosa.
Sammy Sosa. Yeah, yes, it is, son. Let me
That
tell
was
you
a weird
what-
turn.
Yeah, that's no
strange.
longer Jerry Curl Sammy
Yeah,
Sosa.
nah.
He's terrifying.
When he would run out with the flag, the little
Oh,
American flag.
I'd watch that today. I will watch it all. Like, come on, man.
That was fun.
That's the
Those were great
heyday.
days. That was
Heyday.
great.
We just saved the All-Star game
did.
by
You're
adding
welcome, everyone.
a veterans or a retired players home run derby.
Love it.
That would be a lot of fun. All right, Mike, we're gonna blow off this Indians talk.
Yeah,
then, right?
let's hold the Guardians
talk.
prospects. I
Sorry.
realize that next week we have no games, and this could be a good Guardians
Yes,
topic
good
for
idea.
next
Yeah,
week when we
because
have
the
nothing.
trade talks will heat up after the
Yeah.
All-Star.
So we'll save that for next week. No worries. Let's do good bet, bad bet, and then we'll take a stab at final takes here.
Okay,
Love
that
it.
sounds great.
For the first time in UCSS history, we had a 4-way 1-2 day. No one did good. No one did
No, it's
bad.
horrible.
But it wasn't the same picks. We've had days where everyone had the same record, but you guys all picked the same. Everyone got a different one right.
So technically, I'm in first place again.
Bull,
technically,
Bull's
no.
still in first
I
place.
still have one game lead.
by 1 game, yes.
It could be percentage.
It could
point.
be percentage points, right?
It is percentage point difference.
So yeah, Bull is gonna be in first.
I'm still.
You
in
guys
front.
have the same games, and Bulls won 1 more.
gotta-
How are you arguing percentage points?
Yeah.
It's a good point.
They played the exact same amount of games.
Good point out of the boy.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
you're right.
I'm in first place, but we got a long way to go.
I didn't know.
When
that there
does it
was
end,
the
by
same
the
number of
way?
games.
Never.
The end of the year.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, we're going to do at the end of the month, we're going to find a punishment and a prize for the winner and the loser.
Okay.
All right,
And then we'll
that's very
reset.
good.
At the
and
end of
we'll
the
keep a
month?
running tally.
Brad better get the step in.
hold
He's
on.
in trouble.
Can we wager? I want to do one of those things where you put somebody on a treadmill and make them go real fast. Like if you lose, you got to get on the treadmill and then you got to sprint. Like we're gonna put it up to like 9, and you got to sprint.
My ACLs would explode on the spot.
I don't think the company would be down with that. So
No, you don't.
liability.
You know what you should do? You should put him in the stadium and give like major leaguers metal bats and just hit him at him.
No. What's the show where the 4 buddies, Practical Jokers?
Impractical
Yeah.
Jokers. Yeah.
The loser has to wear an earpiece and go out into a public venue, and the 2 guys that didn't lose,
Mike Polk.
or all of us,
Tell them what to say.
I would really want Mike Polk telling you
Mike
what
Polk,
to say.
you gotta
I
tell
would
some
do
words.
it.
I'll do that.
I'd have some
when
words.
they lose on that show, I'm always like, I would say that. I would say that. I don't
Hey,
care.
we
Yeah.
need
By the way, Bull, you could be a cast member on Impractical
I
Jokers.
would love to. I love those
I mean,
guys.
you fit in with those guys.
I
They're
didn't need a
convinced
4th
he's
guy
not.
because Joe just
Joe
left. And
yeah.
the show's not as good now because Joe's the best
Joe
one on
was
there.
the best.
Now here's the thing. We know I don't think a Crispy J is not doing this. He cannot
No.
be. He's not gonna be hitting no earpiece.
I'll do
Stands
it.
out.
I'm not that I'm going to lose because I'm not.
Look, you better not lose.
But I think it should be an Impractical Jokers
that'd be
I do it.
where you got to go to a Guardians game.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Just
you got
say wacky
to mill
stuff to
around
people.
home run porch, and you've got to go up to people and whatever the winners.
No.
We just have to have somebody with us so when
you
we
can
say
security.
inappropriate things,
No,
security.
No, Jason, I'm gonna take him to Dave's Supermarket. Then they can say it in the earpieces. That's where we need to go.
Yeah.
We need to be in the grocery store.
All right.
All right, well, we have 3 bets today regarding the Guardians game.
Regarding the Guardians.
The first one, 1.5.
I'm
you're
with
alone
Pete,
here.
so I feel real good about this.
Nope.
Mike is 38-17.
Somewhere like that. Yeah.
It's just ridiculous. So as long as Mike,
I just saw whoever Detroit has pitching looks like they're trash.
It's not the White Sox, guys. It's the Tigers. But
yeah.
yes.
Did it say White Sox?
Oh, that's why you fooled me. You got me on that one. You said White Sox.
Oh, there you go.
But I'll take
Hold
it.
on, did I
roll with
send
it.
the wrong thing?
No, wait.
No, I sent the right thing.
The
I
right
said
thing was
Tigers.
sent.
On the graphic, it was
is
wrong.
Okay. Well,
Anthony?
Then again, I can't get out of
Can
it.
we show Anthony? We only talk about Anthony when he screws up.
Yeah.
It's like an offensive line.
He's like a lineman.
Holding.
He's a lineman.
Anthony.
It's okay. In his defense, I don't think he likes sports. Am I right
No,
about
he does.
that? Oh, he
It's
does?
Steve.
Oh, okay.
Steve, the director, doesn't like
Steve
sports.
doesn't care for sports.
Yeah.
I knew somebody on the show hated
Director Steve, yeah, not
Got
a big
it.
sports
Yeah.
guy.
Steve, show us your favorite college football helmet if you can, real quick. What's your favorite college football helmet?
it. I know it's
Throw it
hard
up
to
there.
choose.
Just-
I'm setting him up to take the black screen.
Right.
Tag board's back. We don't have black anymore.
Oh, there it is.
There it is. That's Director
Steve's
Steve's
favorite team right there.
All right, the second bet. It says White Sox. We all know it's the Tigers. Anthony, we'll do better next
Well,
time.
not all of us know.
Over
that it's the
7.5
Tigers.
runs in the Guardians-Tigers game tonight.
He's got the.
Oh, shoot.
Never mind.
I'm not going with Polk on this one. I'm in
Uh-oh.
trouble.
Well, we'll see. Who knows?
trouble.
I'm just guessing. You know that.
All right. I know. Do you really? Is that how you do it? You just say, yeah.
No, I mean, I just look at the pitching matchups and see, just kind of add stuff up. That's it. I have no idea what I'm doing.
Well,
And
you do
lastly, game number 3. Tristan McKenzie's been unbelievable lately. 7.5 strikeouts, over 4
That's
sticks.
a lot of
Seem like a lot.
strikeouts, bro.
It is now that they can't cheat.
Yeah.
Like, nobody gets 8 strikeouts
I
anymore.
know. Yeah.
It's nuts.
Mackenzie's a good strikeout pitcher. Tigers strike out a lot. I think. It's
And
a
didn't
good combo.
McKenzie, isn't he coming off his best start as a big leaguer?
Yeah.
I think
I
he's
mean,
only
he
had
had the two-
strikeouts
he had those-
once this year.
Yeah.
His problem is the home runs, right? He's given
Yeah.
up a ton of home runs. When he doesn't give up home runs, he dominates.
Yeah, you're right.
Well,
All right, there it is. Good bet, bad bet. That leaves us 9 minutes, or not quite 9 minutes for final take.
19 minutes.
Oh, we go
But we don't
into
need
10?
to go 19.
We don't have to
We don't
go
need
till 110,
We'll
but
end when
now we have
end,
time.
right?
Everyone, we're going to do a little different today. We're going to give a final take. We're going to move on.
No
And if
comments.
we decide that any of the final takes deserve more discussion, we'll bring it back tomorrow as a
Very good.
topic.
a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
So
let's
nobody's
do it.
allowed to say anything when the final take is complete.
Final take, done.
Let's
We're
see how
moving
that
on.
works out. See how that works.
Everyone
a
here is pretty
one-man
good at biting
debate.
their tongues.
All right, Bull. Let's start our new format.
You know, when I was growing up, my favorite sport by far was baseball. It was really not even a close second. And if I had to pick a second, it probably was college basketball when I was a young kid. I was a big St. John's fan. College basketball was huge in New York City. And I liked the NFL, but it was a distant third. I was probably close to college basketball, but it was a distant third to baseball. And now things have changed. In the last couple of years, football had a long time ago moved to a close number 2 to baseball. But in the last couple of years, it has moved to number 1. Now, part of that's because I'm obsessed with fantasy football, and we will be having a Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show Fantasy Football League that some of you might be able to get involved with. More details on that coming up over the next couple of weeks. But when I was looking this morning, preparing for my podcast and the show, and I looked at the calendar and said it's Thursday. Wait a second. It's exactly 8 weeks to go. 8 weeks from tonight, the NFL regular season begins.
Wow.
The Super Bowl champion Rams playing host to Buffalo. What a great game that is. I cannot wait. I'm like, oh my God. I was like losing my mind this morning. 8 weeks? I'm saying to my son, 8 weeks, 8 weeks. I'm going crazy. It's amazing for me how it has changed. And for me, someone who is such a diehard baseball, and I still love baseball, the fact that for me, it has been passed by the NFL for a lifer baseball guy just shows you the state of where baseball is and the state of where the NFL is.
We get a lot of people calling in or texting us and messaging us about the fact that we don't cover enough hockey. Because we don't really know. Yeah, we do. We just don't know enough about it. And it seems unfair. But I got a notice about a trade that took place yesterday. And so now I'm going to try and pay service to our hockey fan viewers because you deserve to hear some sports news too that you care about. So please just bear with me here. Because I don't know what I'm talking about. So, as we all know, Johnny Gaudreau and the Columbus Blue Jackets have agreed to a 7-year deal worth $9.75 million. Obviously, everyone. I know what you're all thinking. It's hard to imagine Gaudreau playing anywhere but at left wing on the top line. Well, that's where he skated for the Calgary Flames, as we all know. A shot that's always loaded for one-timers. Lane, however, spent time on his strong side at right wing during even strength situations last season and didn't shift over to the left wing until an opposing player went into the penalty box. So how's this all going to work out? Fair question. Many unanswered questions, obviously. Now the Blue Jackets, who don't have a center anchor that's quite in line with his main pivot in Calgary, Elias Lindholm, and then also the Jackets don't have a power forward like Matthew Tkachuk to play opposite Gaudreau and create space for him to operate. So, how many additional scoring chances, though, will Lane get now that Gaudreau's throwing cross-ice dimes his way?
Cole's dying.
How much better will and here's the main question, how much better will Cole Sillinger become? After scoring 16 goals as the NHL's youngest player last season, all of these questions remain to be answered. The one thing that we do know is that the Columbus Blue Jackets got themselves a heck of a player, and only time will tell if it's going to work out.
How many guys are on the ice? Is that on that sheet?
I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying. But anyways, I hope that was useful, hockey fans.
I think you made up that name.
Jason?
I have no idea how to follow that up, but I'm actually going to
Did I take yours?
Kind of, a little bit, yeah. A little bit.
Sorry, man.
But I am going to. I am going to pivot because Jay, you mentioned something earlier that struck a chord with me, and it was something when I was a kid. The Indians, I'm allowed to say, back in the day, it did have an old timers day, and I loved it. It was my favorite day of the year. And this is a franchise that can now connect with its history and bring that back. And I actually wrote about this years and years and years ago when I was at the Beacon Journal. Why don't we do an old timers day at the stadium? And especially, and for a while, there weren't a lot of guys to pick from to bring back. But now imagine if you could get, and there have been problems with Albert Bell and the organization. They haven't seen eye to eye on a lot of things. But imagine if you could get Kenny Lofton back for a day or Manny Ramirez back for a day. Jim Thome would come back. Carlos Bayer is part of the organization. Imagine if you could bring back some of those guys from the 90s. Go get Joe Carter and bring him back for a day. And let this fan base reconnect with some of the stars of its past. It was one of my favorite days as a kid. The Yankees do a great job with it, with Old Timers Day. And you could really bring in a range of some guys who really played long ago. Get Tito Francona out there, for just an inning or whatever. I don't know. He obviously has had a lot of health problems and can't really move all that well. But
he's like Naylor.
But just as a way to shine a light on the past of this franchise and some of the greats that have been through here and really be able to celebrate certainly the great run of the 90s teams and beyond. I just think it would be a really nice way to connect this fan base at a time where, there has been some distrust between fans and ownership and, there's some aggression there or hostility or whatever you want to say. This is an opportunity to join today's fans with yesterday's past. And I think it's long overdue. Bring back the Old Timers Day at Progressive Field.
Good idea. G. Bush?
Well, you know what hit me the other day as we talked about the Baker Mayfield saga and, Baker gets traded and, it's kind of out of our system a little bit. It just finally dawned on me. It hit me in the face like, wow, man. When's the last time you saw somebody take like meaningful snaps under center for the Cleveland Browns? Like, Baker it's always the foregone conclusion. He's going to be the starter. And now, for the first time in 4 years, he's not going to be there. So I just thought about the random emotions that even if Jacoby Brissett plays, right? I mean, that's a new guy you haven't seen in that jersey behind center. And then that's not even to mention Deshaun Watson. So I look at it, and there's so many different things with less than 8 weeks, almost 8 weeks to go before the season starts. Either way you look at it, there's going to be a new quarterback under center, which by default changes the entire team, right? Nick Chubb is no longer just going to be Nick Chubb. Kareem Hunt's not just Kareem Hunt. You're going to have other people, a quarterback that affects the way they play the game. So essentially, you're going to watch the Cleveland Browns come onto the field, and you're going to see a completely different team. And I can't remember a time when I would say that or could say that, because the quarterbacks we had before weren't worth a hill of beans. But now you got so many new players to see at receiver. We're used to Jarvis and Odell Beckham. We have a new receiver. We got a new quarterback. I'm just excited to see what this team is, and I think everybody in the city of Cleveland will be enjoying a brand new team for the first time, and we'll be all experiencing it at once. So I'm ready for the roller coaster ride.
Oh, it'll be a roller coaster ride.
Oh yeah,
there's no doubt about that. We love GOAT arguments, discussions. I'm going to go to one that for a long time looked like it was going to unfold a little differently. The British Open started today. I know we don't do a lot of golf chat on the program, but I know there are a lot of folks out there that either love to play golf or love to watch golf. And throughout the mid-'90s and especially into the early 2000s, it looked like the GOAT argument was going to switch from Jack Nicklaus to Tiger Woods, particularly how Tiger started his career. The tragedy of Tiger Woods is how he ended his career. He was at 14 majors when he was in his early 30s. The record is 18 major championships. Jack Nicklaus, of course, won 18 times. This is a topic for me because Tiger Woods currently is on the 10th hole of his first round of the Open Championship. He is 5 over par. And obviously he had the car crash that destroyed his leg, and despite the fact that he was able to win the Masters a couple of years ago, his best golf is clearly now behind him. So the GOAT argument when it comes to golf is settled. It is Jack Nicklaus. 18 major wins compared to 15 now for Tiger. Masters championships, 6 for Nicklaus, 5 for Tiger Woods. But what really, for me, clinches Jack as the GOAT, he won 18 majors. 19 times Jack finished second in major championships. 19 times.
Wow.
He was right there to go along with his 18 victories. That gives him 37 top twos compared to Tiger's 22. So it's official. Jack is and forever will be the GOAT, at least in my eyes. Tiger had a greater influence on the game of golf, but Jack, I think, is the greatest player ever to play the sport. And on yours, can we get Manning and Eckersley in on that old-timers game? Or should we go there? No.
Nice.
If you know, you know.
Just so Eckersley's not on the mound when Manning's at the plate.
Well, that's what it would have to be.
If you
right?
know, you know. Yeah.
Eckersley could represent the other team, like the bunch of all-stars.
Give Manning a metal bat.
All right, guys.
That's probably the only way you'd convince him to play.
Hey, listen, toss them bats out, them Louisville Sluggers out there, bro.
Let's go.
You get it popping.
Let's go.
That's how you.
Carnage.
Come on now.
Squid Games.
Carnage.
Yeah.
I was telling you the story about Jim Tomey using a metal bat at
Right.
Clearwater when he was with the Phillies.
That's what-
somebody threw a metal bat at him, and there's Highway 19 runs on the backside of the right field home run fence in Clearwater, and he hit it over about 12 lanes of highway
That's what I need to
and
see.
out of the park. It was a moonshot.
Yep.
So let's see if somebody can hit that scoreboard.
Someone could hit it over.
At that point, it's
High
like
school
shooting a
kids
gun
were
in the
hitting
air,
scoreboards.
pretty much.
I love that.
High school kids were hitting it during the home run,
Yeah.
the high school home run
Yeah.
derby.
They used metal
during
bats
All-Star
there.
weekend. They used. I'm telling you, people were ducking out of the way.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
It's
High
high school
exit
kids were hitting
velocity.
it.
Major leaguers be big
Terrifying.
trouble. Can't do it.
All right, so that's going to bring to
Who we
a
got
close
tomorrow?
Today's
Keith
program.
Byers,
Keith
DeQuell
is in
Jackson,
tomorrow.
and Aditi tomorrow.
Oh, wow, that's a hot show.
Star-studded lineup. We're starting the show with Keith Byers.
That's
He's
our show
joining us
tomorrow?
Off the top tomorrow.
A lot of talent.
That's a real
We
show.
had Keith on last time to talk about the basketball game, and then Keith had some connectivity issues.
Yeah, please.
He
can we get
promised
Keith
this
from
time
his
he will
house?
not be from a car.
Okay.
So we will get Keith on the basketball game, and then everything else. We had Leroy and Archie on. Keith is right in that same category of
No question.
elite running back. So very excited for that.
Yeah,
Cool.
that'll be fun. That's on tomorrow's program. In the meantime, the Guardians kind of stuck in Nowhereville. They're below 500 now after being in first place 2 weeks ago.
They love dancing around that 500, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've kind of given up for this year. They're just not going to get it done. All right, we're out of time. We're going to take a 22-hour break. We are back tomorrow for our Friday show. It's going to be a lot of fun. You heard the guest list. Enjoy your Thursday. We will see you 22 hours from now.
Bye, everyone.
Peace.